Hello, and good morning. I'm so excited to come your way again. It's another Wednesday, it's midweek. It's one of my favorite days. Why? Because it's right up in the middle. You have the opportunity to right all of your wrong, get back to your drawing table, do what you can to at least end the week quite right and positively. My name is Emefa Akose Adeti. Welcome to the AM show. And as usual, today we shall serve you with a buffet. We definitely will bring you the AM news with Noella Karen Iyali. You'd as well stay with Sports for Sports with Haruna Mubarak as well. And definitely news review with Dr. Kwame Asante, Head Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Sulemana Brahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, and as well Dr. Jabril Mohammed, economist. You'd as well find him at the University of Ghana Business School. And on to our big story today. Fresh IMANI reports powered by social media reactions reveal public discontent for the performance of the NDC government in the past 6 months, highlighting decline in public trust and controversies over selective justice and governance inconsistencies. We shall hear from IMANI as well as our panel as government responds, contesting some aspects of the report. Also, quite an easy come at the Tamale Technical University after what began as peaceful protest for their infrastructure descended into chaos when students clashed with police, resulting in some students sustaining injuries. We shall hear from our correspondent. Martina will bring us updates from there as well on the current situation. And then we take you to the Ashanti region, specifically to Kumasi, where the week-long funeral rite for the Asante Hema enters day 3, embedded in tradition and pageantry. And of course, you don't want to miss that. Yesterday, we brought you some elegant culture from the Ashanti region, particularly Kumasi and Anabuachi on that beat for you. And so definitely here's what you have to do. Join the conversation with your thoughts and your views via phone when we get to open the phone lines. But if you do not, please send all of your comments to social media on all of our handles. Well, AM Show is sponsored by Kenogo Company Limited and Syntex Tank. Please stay. We'll bring you the news shortly.
Well, good morning, and of course, it's now time for the news on the AM show. I'm Noella Karen Iyali. In our top stories, there's an easy calm at the Tamale Technical University after what began as a peaceful protest for better infrastructure descended into chaos. Now, 3 students sustained injuries in a violent clash with police as tensions flared on campus. The demonstration drew hundreds of students who marched to the Chief's Palace to present their petition before returning to campus. Their frustration stems from years of paying a levy meant for development without seeing any meaningful project materialize. There's more on the following report.
Flames from burning tires lit up the Tamale Technical University campus as route control vehicle moved in. Students hailed stones at the police truck whilst officers struck back with batons, leaving some protesters injured. By the time calm returned, 3 students had sustained injuries, one of them nursing wounds to his head and hand, recounted the ordeal.
Okay, we are having our peaceful demonstration, which we want the management to carry out our programs today, and also how we can solve it. And when we got there, to our notice, police came in and they were giving warning shot. So many had to run. Well, there were ladies among us, and some too, because of the gunshot, they were afraid. So we decided to run for our lives. And on the process of running, I was also running with a lady. And then one of the gunshot they had shot over there cut a glass. So the glass was falling on us, so I have to put the lady in front of me, then protect myself as well, and it fell on me.
The clashes follow a protest march earlier in the day. The students had gone to the Chogunas Palace to present their petition and returned to campus to demand urgent action on what they call years of neglect. At the heart of their grievance is a development levy they insist has not produced a single development project on campus. Muhammadu Musa is the PRO of the Student Representative Council.
Basically, the school face a lot of problems, but we have enumerated a few of it. Some of it are the poor sanitary conditions on campus, poor landscaping, and then inadequate lecture halls, as well as open defecation on campus. And these have been issues that we've been battling with engagement for some time now to resolve some of these issues, but to no avail.
But infrastructure is only part of their anger. Students say sanitation has reached crisis level, with broken washrooms forcing many into open defecation and foul stench disrupting classes.
You see, these sanitary conditions at the university, they are too appalling in the sense that nobody would wish even the enemy to occupy such places. Indeed, we may have people who are supposed to do the cleanup exercise or the cleanup for us. But the question is that if they are not provided with the materials that they are supposed to work with, how then do they get the that? So if students cannot use the washroom, they cannot use the bathroom, where do you expect them to free themselves? You will see that some of them are exposed, by education, and then some too, as well as from the general public, are also just defecating on campus.
The university's Public Affairs Director, Osman Mubarak, concedes the concerns are legitimate but condemns the violent scenes. He says management is in a crisis meeting to find a solution.
Their demands, they have the right to raise their concerns. If I'm a student and I'm an institution and I feel like the institution is supposed to honor their obligation, I have honored my obligation as a student by faith. The university doesn't have the honor one, and they are not. It is not up to for them. It's not, and we don't want to get to the worst case where the university will have to be closed down by the government. No, we will have to deal with it within the shortest possible time.
For now, calm has returned to the Tamale Technical University campus, but the anger lingers, and without swift action, the risk of more unrest remains high. For Joy News, Martina Bugri reporting.
Now from Tamale, let's take you to the central region, where 10 districts in the region are reeling under severe water shortages following the shutdown of the Kwenyako treatment plant polluted by Galamsey activities. The Regional Security Coordinating Council is joining forces with other regions to flush out the illegal miners. And James Aveji reports.
A week ago, the Central Regional Security Council ordered the closure of the Kwenyako headworks in Agona West after Galamsey contamination rendered the Ghana Water Company Limited's facility unsafe. Regional Minister Ekochiri Duama, who led an inspection of the site, described the pollution as devastating.
I've even asked that Ghana Water, this plant must not produce any water. If we even see clean water, we will not be sure of the content, because what chemical they will have to add to get it clean for us, it will not be good for our health. And so they must not be pressured to produce any water. No, they should relax.
The minister has today confirmed an interministerial collaboration to remove all illegal miners from water bodies and forest reserves in the region. He says the impact of Galamsey has left about 10 districts facing severe water shortages.
If we are talking about making sure that the water bodies are clean, if I maintain ISO at the southern part from Kwenyako to Winneba, and somebody is destroying it upstreams, what do I do to it? So we are trying to have links with other ministers to ensure that we get things done and done well. I know that efforts are in place to ensure that they are flushed up of that area so that those activities cannot continue. And so that's the first thing we should do, to ensure that they are not there to destroy the water body.
And from the central region, let's come back to Accra, where drivers, traders and market women yesterday poured onto the streets to protest what they describe as the unlawful takeover of the CMB lorry station. The protesters say their means of livelihood is at stake as they allege private developers with the backing of the Railways Authority seek to forcefully evict them. Stephen Mensah has more in the following report.
For these traders and drivers, the alleged eviction by the Achimwenchi chief is not just an inconvenience, it's a direct threat to survival. Take Abena Amwa, a single mother of 4 who sells onions to fend for her family.
I've been a single parent for 20 years. I have 4 kids taken care of, 3 boys and a girl. My last one is in Legon, level 300. My brother, my first son completed tech and is still at home, not working. Look at us, this is our source of livelihood. What we are saying is we are pleading with the government. It's to get us a place to sell. My brother, what do you want me to do? It affects me, it affects my kids at home.
But Abena is not alone. Kweku Asamoah, a driver who plies the cocoa marketing area route, says the eviction is worsening traffic and contributing to accidents in the area.
Car accidents keep happening on these roads. Not long ago, a similar Metro Mass accident left some victims with amputated legs and others with severe injuries. We are pleading with the government to construct a proper market for these traders and the lorry station for us drivers so that we can earn a living. Right now, we have nowhere to park or load our passengers. We are therefore pleading to the government to come to our aid.
Frustrated, the traders marched through the principal streets of Accra from the Ridge roundabout to the Jubilee House. There, they dropped off their petition, warning that their livelihoods hang in the balance. Abbas Moro is the public relations officer for the GPRTU.
Now that the population is growing, it is our hope and belief that the government will look for another lorry park for us. Here we are losing the one that we have.
Receiving the petition, Presidential staffer Bridget Otu assured that the matter would be treated with urgency.
History there. So I want to first of all say he sees this as very serious and he will he will attach all the seriousness this deserves. I will go in there and submit it. Wait for the Chief Justice. When they come, then I'll hand it personally to them so you know that the President will see your petition.
The protesters say they would continue to resist what they call an unlawful takeover until government provides a lasting resolution. Stephen Mensah's report for Joy News.
Well, let's head over to the Upper West region now, where justice delivery in the region is under pressure, with inadequate and dilapidated courts unable to cope with rising cases. At the Bar Conference in Wa, regional GPA chairman bemoaned the abandonment of the High Court complex, which began nearly 20 years ago. Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam has more in the following report.
The Ghana Bar Association GBA annual conference ongoing in the Upper West region is the first to be held in the region in its 149-year history of the conference. It attracted hundreds of members from across the length and breadth of the country, including some high-profile members of the bench. Upper West Regional Chairman of the GBA, lawyer Ubaidu bin Sadiq, in his opening remarks at the conference, narrated the education age gap between the northern Gulf of the country and that of the south, narrowing it to the legal profession. Lawyer Ubaidu bin Sadiq is however not impressed with the few courts that are available in the region to dispense justice. The state of some of the aforementioned courts are nothing to write home about. Some are packed with cases with very little space and litigants crammed and huddled together while justice is being dispensed. Lawyer Ubaidu bin Sadiq calls for expedited action on the Wa High Court Complex project.
May I seize this opportunity to appeal to the government to prioritize the project and ensure its completion, since it has already delayed. When the project is complete, we will request that one additional High Court be opened in the regional capital to accommodate the increasing number of cases.
The Upper West Regional Bar Association chairman also spoke about the 2 public universities in the region, calling on the government and other benevolent organizations to pay particular attention to them.
These 2 universities, you will all agree with me, are still at their infant stages as compared to similar institutions in other parts of the country. The Upper West Regional Bar therefore wants to use this platform to appeal to the government and other major stakeholders in education to pay particular attention to these institutions in terms of their infrastructural and other needs.
Power Minister Lawyer Charles Wongo Pozung, on his part, calls for reforms in legal education where faculties will have the autonomy with proper supervisory frameworks to administer and regulate the professional law courses and examinations.
The present centralized system, heavily concentrated in a few urban centers, place unfair burdens on aspiring lawyers from distant regions. For many of our brightest young men and women, the dream of joining this noble profession is not extinguished by lack of talent or dedication, but by the tyranny of distance, the burden of cost, and the scarcity of opportunities. This is a structural injustice that the legal profession, as a custodian of fairness and equity, cannot continue to ignore.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Now, the Ghana National Fire Service is calling out drivers for reckless speeding and dangerous road practices that are costing precious lives. Now, this comes after Monday afternoon's tragic crash at Wakrom Junction on the Cape Coast Accra Highway, which claimed 6 lives and left several others injured. During a visit to victims at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, the Central Regional Commander of the service, ACFO Mary Atega-Mensah, condemned the rising wave of accident caused by overspeeding. Now, she urged drivers to put caution above carelessness, stressing that valuing lives on the road is not optional but a responsibility.
About 12 casualties were brought, 1 person passed on, and 5 were reported yesterday. So in addition, making 6 deaths.
According to a statement released by the Central Regional Command of the Ghana National Fire Service on Monday, September 15, 2025, authorities responded to a distress call at Wakrom Junction near Nyamransa on the Cape Coast Accra Highway. Arriving at the scene, authorities observed a collision between a DAF truck with registration number AW9548-13 and a Toyota Hiace passenger vehicle with number GC9728-21. 4 people were pronounced dead at the scene, with another victim dying at the Brewa Polyclinic. Another death recorded on Tuesday at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, where 7 victims, including a 10-year-old boy, were admitted, brings the total death count to 6.
All these things involve the overspeeding and overtaking of the drivers, especially the sprinter drivers. Because if you go through yesterday, there was 2 trucks, and the driver overtook the 2 trucks. It was that which brought the accident, and the truck fell on the sprinter. That was why the people were severely injured and some of them passed on.
Issuing a caution to drivers.
My advice to the drivers and the road users is that the drivers should take their times, because a little patience will save a lot. We are losing our people, human resource, and even money, financial, the money that will be channeled to other things or to improve the hospital facility or the school. We are using it to cater for other things. So I would advise that the drivers should be careful when they are driving. They shouldn't drink when they are driving. They should not be saying, I will go and come quickly. That one will not save anything, because money was there before we were born. So we'll leave it and go. So I would like to plead with the drivers that they should take notice of the road signs and everything. When they are going, they should take their time.
Although 17 casualties were recorded after the accident, health professionals at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital say surviving victims admitted at the hospital are responding to treatment. From Cape Coast, Abigail Lissel in Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Now, plastic waste continues to pose a major challenge to environmental sustainability. To tackle this, the Environmental Protection Authority has introduced a plastic segregation initiative aiming to reduce plastic pollution by 50% by 2030. Speaking at the maiden 2025 public lecture on the authority, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Professor Michael Ayamga, outlined the measures being implemented to manage plastic waste. Mama V. Safakote reports. The maiden public lecture 2025 of the Environmental Protection Authority was well attended by stakeholders in the environmental sector, where a panel discussion on the birth of a new Environmental Act was held at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Hall in Accra. The Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Professor Michael Ayamga, outlined the measures being implemented to manage plastic waste in the media engagement.
PA is working with a government vision, as we outlined here, that we are hoping that in our 5 years' time, by 2030, we should reduce our plastic waste by 50%. You already heard our desire to ban stylophones. That's the one we use in packaging food. We have promoted the idea of waste segregation, which will make it easier for us to collect and dispose of plastics, and where we have to recycle to promote that. And we are also working with the stakeholders to look at the life cycles approach. Can we do something to the plastics to make them more biodegradable? So collectively, these efforts will help us meet our target of at least halving the plastic pollution in this country by 2030.
The principal legal officer of the authority, Veronica Alom Emisa Edu, walked participants through excerpts of the new Environmental Act, Act 1124, highlighting it as a shift in environmental governance and explaining the structures in place to tackle environmental destruction, including illegal mining.
We acknowledge the very high level at which this issue is being handled at the national level, and will defer to that. With respect to Act 1124, there are several enforcement structures on how we permit, how we regulate, how we enforce. And I'm sure you'll find that under the various sections 35 and 163 on the powers of inspectors. And that is how we regulate the environment, including illegal mining.
The plastic segregation policy, if properly implemented and supported by citizens, can significantly reduce plastic pollution, protecting Ghana's environment and public health for future generations. Mama V. Safakote, reporting for Joy News. Well, let's now get updated with business. And Ghana's oil and gas sector is expected to witness a major turnaround following advanced plans by GNPC and its exploration subsidiary, Exploco, to drill 2 new exploration wells on the Volshane Basin by the end of the third quarter of 2026, according to the technical advisor to the minister and the GPP2 project focal point at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Dr. Yusuf Suleimana. The drilling of the 2 new wells will be the game changer for the country's upstream sector.
Yeah, that's a very excellent news, of course. If you notice, the Volshane Basin is our trump card, if I may put it that way. Yes, we have partnerships with ENI, we have partnership with Talo, a partnership that has highly reinvigorated thanks to the forthrightness in the leadership of His Excellency President John Mahama, where the upstream players, they have gathered momentum, they have gathered their courage back, and they are reinvesting back to to our upstream space. And that has brought a lot of vibrancy. And so Volshane Basin, Pius, is a huge potential for us in Ghana. It covers almost like 40% of the entire country. That's what Volshane Basin has. But what is critical is that what GNPC is seeking to do now by third quarter of 2026 is to test the data that they have by drilling an exploration well. And what exploration well will do, it will de-risk the field. And that's even the opportunity where others will try to come in and partner with us. And so for GNPC and the partners at the Petroleum Commission, supported by the Minister of Energy, to champion this cause in going forward to drill such an excellent well or such an excellent thing, it will pave way for the production stage to come in record time.
Now, the Ghana Hotels Association will today meet the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission over the proposed increase in tariffs. Now, speaking to Joy Business, President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Aka Nyameke Jr., noted that this meeting will provide an avenue for players to address concerns and chart a favorable way forward to cushion consumers.
Let me put on record that the PURC has invited us for a stakeholder engagement tomorrow.
Wow.
To discuss the proposed tariff hikes. So for now, we are trying to wrap our heads around these humongous tariff hikes.
What are your arguments going into that meeting?
A number of them. First of all, we believe, as an association, we believe that there's some unfairness in this hikes, especially to do with water when the excuse or reason is given related to Galamsey. We believe that we have a social contract with government to protect our environment, to protect our water bodies. So if that is not being done, and the cost of that is going to be pushed to the consumers, it is very unfair. And for me, that's the beginning point of our argument. Now, secondly, we believe that the PURC instituted a quarterly review of the utility tariffs. What has changed? We've not been given any reason. This is a multi-year tariff adjustment from 2025 to 2029. What is informing that? I hope we'll get some answers tomorrow, because once you look at that long stretch, then you'll be able to find reason to give these huge tariff hikes that you're talking about.
Hi there, welcome back to the show. And from routine checkups and cosmetic dentistry to advanced orthodontics and surgical procedures, Bethel Dental Clinic is transforming the way oral health is delivered in Ghana, combining cutting-edge technology with personal touch to give patients brighter smile and healthier lives.
At the heart of Bethel Dental Clinic is a dedicated team and cutting-edge facilities. Here, expertise meets innovation, delivering solutions that match world-class standards while staying true to Ghanaian values.
Welcome to Bethel Dental Clinic. My name is Dominic Ansasifua. I'm in charge of business development at Bethel. At Bethel Dental Clinic, we have all the services under one roof. We do braces, we do Invisalign, we do teeth whitening, we do cleaning, we do root canal treatment. We do all forms of dental care services that you would require. So we are located at number 13 Ocho Street, North Jowulu, quite close to Fiesta Royal Hotel on the Jowulu Gempa Strait. We also have branches in Kumasi, at Asukwa, inside the Ark Luxury Residences. And then we have a third branch which will be opening soon in Tema. Our clinic is designed with patient comfort innovation and inclusivity at the core of everything we do. Right from the parking, we have a very secure car park which is covered. We have a lift which helps with mobility, and so the aged, the people with mobility issues are able to move with ease. Our reception area is very receptive and warm. We ensure that when you come in, you are relaxed, you have, your anxiety is taken away to ensure that you have the ease you need to go through the procedure you came in for. We, at Bethel Dental Clinic, we provide everything you need in terms of dentistry, and so we have a hygienist who is registered and who is in charge of preventive procedures. We have an orthodontist who provides ortho treatments such as braces and Invisalign. We have an endodontist who does root canal treatment. So at Bethel, we do implants, we do braces, we do all the procedures that you would want. We also ensure that, in fact, we have invested in advanced technology, and so we use minimally invasive instruments in the provision of our services.
The company combines world-class technology, eco-conscious practices, cultural identity, and patient-first service to their operations.
What we have here is a dental microscope. Okay, so the dental microscope has ushered us into an era of precision, comfort, and enhanced healthcare. So with the help of the microscope, it enhances the magnification and it helps us to improve the actual quality of the oral healthcare. The best part of the microscope is that it enhances the magnification to such a level that the things which we cannot see with a naked eye or even with a loops, that we are able to see with the microscopes. It helps us to see if there is any decay, okay, if there are any micro cracks, okay, when we are doing root canal, it helps us to find if there are any accessory or missing canals. Okay, so with the help of the microscope, the dentist and the patient, they both gain from it to achieve a enhanced oral health care. Also, we have a dental 3D printer from Form Labs. Okay, so it helps us to improve accuracy in the forming of prosthesis. Right? It has reduced the overall production time of the restorations. Means when the other techniques would take like a day or a week or more than that, with the help of the 3D printers, it has reduced the overall fabrication time to few hours or on the same day. The applications of the 3D printer in orthodontics, we can have like aligners fabricated by it. Okay, then in surgical in the surgical procedures, we can form like surgical guide which are used for implants and also to perform some complex surgeries. The 3D printers, they print models which can be used both as for the treatment planning and education to the patients. We have a CBCT X-ray machine which has transformed the field of dentistry by offering highly detailed three-dimensional X-rays. With the help of the CBCT X-rays, it is a 3D imaging, okay, unlike the 2D X-rays. The CBCT provides a three-dimensional image of the teeth, the jaw, the nerve areas and the bone structures in a single scan. The advancement allows the dentist and the surgeons to plan different surgeries like implants. It helps in forming the surgical guides and it helps in planning the orthodontic treatment.
Every symbol, design, and idea reflect the culture of the company, while technology keeps them at the cutting edge of global standards.
So in today's dentistry, we have what we call lasers. Lasers are largely light amplifications that have been applied to dentistry. And Bethel boasts a number of lasers. We have diode lasers, we have water lasers, which is right there as well. And these are supposed to help make surgeries less invasive. They help with coagulation, so patients do not bleed a lot. And because we use lasers and we're not using blades, you don't need to give a lot of anesthesia as well. There's a debate to which one heals quicker, whether an incision made with a blade or an incision made with laser. But whatever it is, lasers make the field clearer, make life easy, and give the patient the option to choose whether they want to go the traditional blade way or to use lasers.
Bethel Dental Clinic has a practice management software which securely stores all patient data and connects across branches. This means whether you visit the Accra or Kumasi clinic, patient records are always accessible.
This is our central processing area, also known as sterilization. And this is the heart and soul of our office. This is where we ensure patient safety. So once the instruments are brought into sterilization, they go into an ultrasonic cleaner, which is a high volume frequency that gets rid of any debris, any blood, or any contaminants on the instruments. Once the instruments are in the ultrasonic, they're in for 15 minutes, and then they're taken out, rinsed, and then they go to our next station where they are dried and prepared for sterilization. Once the assistant inspects the instruments and makes sure they're free of debris or blood or contaminant, then they are packaged. They're either in a sterilization package or they're wrapped in sterilization paper. The date and the type of instruments are then written on the cassettes. Then they go into our steam sterilizer. Our steam sterilizer uses high steam in order to kill any bacteria, viruses, or spores on the instruments. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to kill the bacteria, the virus, or the spores. Once the instruments are then dried, they're stored into our cabinets, ready for use.
So to book an appointment, you call our office or you go to our website, betheldentalghana.com, to fill a form to book an appointment.
Bethel Dental Clinic says it's committed to green and environmental sustainability practices, generating close to 40% of their energy from solar, conserving energy through insulated walls, and eliminating thousands of plastic bottles with refillable dispensers.
We're excited that you're staying with us all through the show. It's time now for News Review. And I'd like to remind you that the AM show is sponsored by Kenoga Company Limited and Syntex Tanks. Now, let's talk about water tanks, Ghana. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle Algerian weather, rain or shine. Syntex tank has your back. So my people, go outside, check your tank, and if it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. You can call them 0244-335-168 to buy now or find one of their 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online if you want that convenience at syntexgh.com. Syntax Tang, strong, tough. Now, time now to review some of the things that have been happening in the news. And it's a Wednesday. Dr. Kwame Asante, Head Center for European Studies, and as well, Dr. Jabril Mohammed, economist you find him at the University of Ghana Business School. Docs, thank you for joining us this morning. How's your week been so far?
Good morning to you, and then good morning to my brother Jabil and our viewers as well. I'm fine. The weather is having its own toll on all of us, but it's good. It allows us to rest and sleep.
I'm happy to hear. Dr. Jabri, what about you? How are you feeling this morning? How's your week been so far?
Good morning to you and good morning to all our listeners. The weather has been good. I like the nature of the weather currently. And my week has been tough.
Has it?
Still working yesterday. I have to work into the night. And this morning, after this newspaper review, I have to continue work.
Oh, I understand. That would be for God and country. Thank you for all you're doing. But Dr. Asante, what has your attention? The week has been quite eventful. Of course, a lot happening in the Ashanti region. Kumasi is showing us some elegance of culture and tradition, quite some precision in the morning of the Asante Hema. That's been happening. Yesterday was day 2, today is day 3. But as well, a lot happening. President Mahama answering questions. The fallout from that answering of questions during the meet the press with the president. And as well, that's Galamsey, but as well, you may have heard that a little over 67% of Ghanaians would prefer that we elect our MMDCs, Metropolitan Assembly, district officers, and all of that. So much. Beyond that, what has your attention?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I want to look at politics of insults in Ghana. If you study political science, there's nowhere in political science where we teach insult. And my good friend Jebel would attest to that. It doesn't form part of any curriculum relative to political science. But these days, what do we see? Political actors, individuals, groups, take to the social media, insult, and rain insults on people and all that as part of their contribution to politics. I'm afraid to disappoint them. It is not part of political science at all. Politics is driven by ideas and your records. If you don't have ideas, that is where people resort toward insult. Because if you have ideas, it's dialogue. We sit, we talk, give and take, and we share ideas. Aristotle, the greatest of all, has told us that politics must be handled by those who are intellectually fit, people who can advance argument, people who can come up with ideas, people whose minds are fertile. If you are outside this bracket, you resort toward insult and attacks. I want to urge everybody that people should discount or forget about those who insult in politics. Tell yourself that they don't have what it takes to engage you in political discourse. Because if you have ideas, you will not resort to insults. Once we silence them, once we do not engage them, obviously they become lonely and we begin to learn the ropes. And if they want to stay in that civilized business, then they will want to shy away from insult. Let those who insult know that they have no monopoly over insults. Everybody can insult. But except that we are civilized, we are civil, and that the business of politics is moved by civility. And if you don't have these qualities, I'm afraid, stay out and let us have a decent conversation. I'll urge political actors should not be shaken by any politics of insults, and that listen to those who can advance argument. That is the way to go.
Right. Thank you so much, Doc. Dr. Jabril, what about you?
Well, I'm just going to add a little bit to what he said and go on to my main issue. Politics is a contest of ideas. It is not a contest of insults. But that one there, I will totally agree with that. So if you know you don't have any idea to offer to the state, then you don't have your place in the political landscape. Now, to my main point, I want to talk about the hike in tariffs that the ECG is proposing. The Electricity Company of Ghana is proposing to PURC for them to increase the tariffs by 225%. And you and I know very well that ECG in the past has not really been efficient, especially in the collection of revenue. They've had commercial losses, etc. It's not about the tariff hike. It is about how you collect the revenue and distribute the revenue based on the formula given to you, the waterfall mechanism formula. So if you want to continue to increase revenue, and you still have a lot of places where they are connected to electricity and they don't have meters, what are you doing? You are just shifting the cost to the very few people who are committed in paying. Committed people like us, committed people like Joy FM, and committed businesses, which means that you are just going to increase the cost of doing business. You are going to increase the cost of living and make people's life more and more harder. I have seen a notice from the PURC. I have seen a stakeholder program by the PURC discussing how the tariffs are going to be hiked, and etc., and all of that. So this is something that we are calling on to the ECG to become more efficient, especially in the collection of their revenue, so that we can reduce the quantum of debt will continue to pile up for the electricity sector of Ghana. So it's my pledge that the ECG should do the right thing. And you know, even the Bank of Ghana had already started talking about it. Their argument is that in as much as they are doing all their best to reduce inflation, maintain price stability, and also maintain be able to stabilize the currency, the increment from the ECG or from PURC is going to bring a bigger toll in the commitment in attaining the monetary policy stance that they are working at. So there should be a striking balance so that the increment does not lead to an increase in inflation, an increase in interest rates, and reverse all the gains that we are making. We want to have a stable power, but ECG must do the right thing. They must do the needful. They have to collect their revenue and collect it appropriately. If they have to devise other technology to ensure that they collect revenue and reduce their commercial losses, they should do so. 225% hike in tariffs is just too much.
Right.
And it's going to be unbearable for the ordinary people of Ghana.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jabril. Kojo, we might just start with the newspapers. I have the Ghanaian Times with me. I've got the Ghanaian, the publisher as well this morning. And I've got the News Center here as well. The Ghanaian Point as well here with you. Which ones do you have?
I have the Daily Guide newspaper, the Accra Times newspaper, the Insight, the Ghanaian Publisher, and the Custodian. That's what I have.
Okay. One of the biggest issues that we may not see in front of the newspapers this morning, that we'll be discussing a little later in our big stories, is the IMANI report on the sentiments of Ghanaians on the current government, which we, if we have the opportunity, would as well discuss. But the Ghanaian Times this morning is reporting $10 billion big push agenda takes off. Story is on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times, and as well page 12 has the sacred dossier for Asante Hema has begun in Kumasi. And as well, a story that's been quite worrying since yesterday. Police fires warning shots to disperse rioting tattoo students. You must have heard about the protest by students of Tamale Technical University about what we understand as of yesterday. They call for better studying amenities or infrastructure in their school. And they proceeded to burning of tires and a few other things that the police didn't seem to have been excited about. That resulted to some students also being injured. That has featured in the Ghanaian Times this morning. Kojo, would you like me to go on with the Ghanaian publisher, or you tell us what's with the...
I mean, in the Daily Guide newspaper, for example, gold smuggling syndicate busted, 1 million Ghana cedis bounty for 4 suspects, and it comes with photographs of these 4 people. I think other papers are reporting it. Bogoso Pristia mine, Ghana risks $1 billion arbitration. Wow. Declare state of emergency on Galamsey Catholic bishops. Dichum targeted for smear campaign, according to spokesperson. So maybe we start with the but I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
Well, so the Ghanaian publisher as well says that panic over Sedin Ketia president for 2028. You had reviewed the video properly yesterday. It looks like you'll be the authority on this.
I mean, the video, someone was saying that it could be, but if you look at the video, it's a video of, you would say, a declaration of an intent, but a subtle one.
Okay.
Because you don't hear him say, vote for me as presidential candidate. He just says he is, I think, trusted, sincere, and then he, as Edwin Ketia, ends by saying, fellow Akatamansonians. Then the video ends. So, well, open for interpretation, but you might want to say from the rumors that we've heard until this point, you can conclude that maybe that's a declaration of intent of running for the flag bearership of the party, but early days yet anyway.
Well, Dr. Sasanti, this one will interest you, and maybe you can start with that or any other one that has your attention. Cost of winning Ghana's presidency hits $200 million. CDD Ghana wants a threat to democracy. That is the Ghanaian Point this morning reporting on that story as well. We've been following it all through the week. Let's start. Kojo, what shall we start with? Well, there's so much to talk about. I don't know where
exactly.
to start from.
Let's start with the bust. Because we all know what the Gold Board is doing. Recently, they presented 5 million cedis plus 5 pickups to NIMOS to help fight Galamsey. Now, some people, even though we learned that this could bring about smuggling, some people are trying to do that, and Gold Board is looking after them. Now, how do we ensure that, this same 1 million Ghana cedis bounty that Gold Board has placed on 4 suspects, is that what is going to help us deal with smuggling, or do you think there are other ways that the Gold Board can adopt in fighting smuggling? Dr. Santi, let me bring you in.
Yeah, I think it's one of the measures, and I'm not sure that is going to be the end. They are going to have series of measures that will rake in the necessary revenue and then plug that hole so that miscreants will not have opportunity to milk the state. For me, that is how I understand it. So it is one of the measures, and they are going to trigger more to make sure that they get to the bottom. Smuggling has been with us for a very long time. So I am happy that with the coming into being of the board and its task force, all these things are going to be addressed. It's a matter of time. I will urge them not to relent and be strong and be firm so that they get all the news tightened around those people who want to take advantage of the situation and then make all of us poor. Remember the effort of the Gold Board in raking in a lot of revenue within a short possible time. What I want to see is that the government should be able to tell us the revenue that they generate from Gold Board activity, which account that the money goes into, and what is the use. Where are they applying the money? More often than not, they come and add it to the kitty, and you come, all that they give you is a long explanation and all that. But this one, the way it is, bringing in the revenue, I believe strongly that we need a certain account that we can be able to track how much is in there and what is the use of all these things, because it's like the oil. The oil also has some separate account that we are also using it for heritage, whatever programs and all that. I believe we need something like that, so that at the end of the day, it's not be something that we have on paper, but that we can put our hands on it and say that this we use for A, B, C, D. And then it should also help us. If we get so much, I don't know, the economist, my friend Jibril, should be able to help us to understand this. Is it not possible we've raked in so much that we can end the IMF deal, that we have so much that we can? Jibril will take up that conversation because you know how uncomfortable if you are under IMF program and all the conditionalities and all that. But if Gold Board has been able to rake in so much, what are we waiting for and all that? But of course, I am a layman. Sometimes my ideas will not mean anything. I want to also touch on the issue of the 200 million dollars that we spend to elect presidents in this country, that is through campaign. It's very, very unfortunate because this country doesn't have resources. The little that we have, I'm not sure we want to spend it in what? Elections, so that to get somebody who will be a flag bearer or a president, for that matter, for this country. And it brings to mind the abandoned conversation on what? Political party financing. Yes, we discuss and throw it away. We discuss, and the time is now for us to sit down and look at how best we can look at this issue, because it is causing a whole lot of problems that you and I are not aware of. Issue of what? Corruption is in there. Issue of the fact that once people spend this money, remember, they are not philanthropists. They want to what? Have returns for their money. And anything can happen. And above all, those who finance them, who are these individuals? Sometimes faceless human beings, which the law even doesn't allow them to fund. But hey, we don't know them. And here you are. And when those people also fund, they will come in to also demand their pound of flesh. And all these things work against the state. So it is about time that we work at it and make sure that the state funding, political party financing conversation comes on. The issue of the Catholic Bishop Conference coming up strongly on Galamsey, I salute them. These are giants within our society, and I am not surprised if you are very close to the Catholic Bishop Conference, and those days their newspaper, they resisted oppressive rule and stood firm as leaders of our society. And I'm happy they continue to play this role, talking about Galamsey and the need for us to deal with this issue decisively. It is important. It is true that the government is young, but much as the government wants to take credit for the things that it has done within the short time, it cannot also hide permanently under the fact that the government has been in office for a very short time. I admit and I concede, and I want to be fair to the government, that they have put in a lot of measures that I believe had started yielding results. The blue water
Govt.
Yes, those group, and then the policy that they have on excavators and all that, and then their engagement with communities that Galamsey is rife and all that. And of course, I can't talk without mentioning the effort of Kofi Amabwa in that direction. Great, but look, we want more, because yes, you can get the water turn into clean and all that, but the content, the pollutants are still in there. The injurious substances are in there. How do we get them out? Reclamation, what are we talking about? How far have we gone with this? People are now cutting cocoa trees to look for gold. What is the effect? All these things, it is based on this that Catholic Bishop Conference and other groups are up in arms against the government. That government, much as you are doing more in this direction, continue and make sure that we deal with this problem head on, because it is an existential threat. Whether we take it or not, that is going to be the issue if we don't deal decisively with that. So I support the Catholic Bishop Conference and I salute them for making sure.
Well, Doc, I have to ask you, I mean, you say that the effort government is putting in is yielding some results. What have you seen to make you draw that conclusion that the efforts are yielding some results?
Are you not alive to the fact that today they have stopped issuing license? Okay. That is it. It is one thing. It is a first step. Because if people continue to have license, then you are adding to the number that already we have problems in, right? So that is it. We have also seen these activities within the communities. Communities have told you that they are surprised to receive guests in their communities with letters from the ministry saying that, look, we have concession and all that. Now you are involving them. All right. If you are alive to the Latin American experience, people in terms of small-scale mining go to the local people, have all the negotiations with them, and then come to government for other documents and all that. I want to believe that with time, if the government continue on this trajectory, we should see more signs. But look, we still believe that the government can do more. We don't need to wait for 2 years or 3 years. The time is now. And that is why I am saying what I am saying. I'll move on to look at the 10 billion big push agenda.
Maybe we have on, if you just allow us, let's have Dr. Jabil, yes. Also
okay, let him
yes, of course.
Yes, fair point. Fair point.
So just also address a few of the things that you have mentioned. But Dr. Jabil, let's start with the gold board. Of course, 4 million Ghana cedis just to bring these men alive. And Dr. Sasanti made a point that maybe we should look at the gold board again if it is raking in enough money for us to want to look at our IMF arrangement, because just some days ago they donated some amount of money to NIMAS, as my colleague was saying, some buses as well. I'm actually, one of the things that beats my mind is when a government entity is donating to another government entity. It's a conversation we can have. I don't quite understand that mechanism. You can help me understand it. But for 4 million as bounty for 4 men who are gold smugglers, is this suggesting that we're making some good money, or it's just good enough incentive to be able to bring 4 smugglers?
Well, let's look at it from this point. How much is the 4 smugglers bringing on board? When they busted on them, does it mean that they were able to have an amount of money that is about 10 times of it, and that when they give them 1% of it or 10% of it, it's not going to have any impact on their revenue?
Doc, can I provide you with the information?
Yeah.
Now, according to the paper, it's a suspect said was found with 92 kilograms of gold, valued at about 10.2 million cedis. Then it goes on to say that Mr. Jemfi said the company was identified as a sponsor and mastermind of the syndicate, which had illegally purchased more than 100 kilograms of gold, valued at over 100 million Ghana cedis in the last 2 months.
In fact, with a purity of 92.5%. That's very pure gold. Yeah.
So you have seen the point I was making. So it is necessary for you to compensate them with the 4 million Ghana cedis. So I don't see that to be a problem, because if the people had allowed them to take it away, Ghana was going to lose close to about about 200 million Ghana cedis. So if you give away 4 million cedis, you get 200 million. So which one will you go for? So it makes economic sense to give them the 4 million Ghana cedis. That is my point on that. Now, on the issue of whether the resources that we are getting from GoBoard, we opt to have a separate account for it. What is the Revenue Management Act saying about natural resource revenues? So we have a Natural Resource Revenue Management Act. Then we have the Oil Revenue Management Act. And the Oil Revenue Management Act stipulates about 3 ways of managing it, or 4 ways, I think 3. We have the Stabilization Fund, we have the Heritage Fund, and then we have the annual budgetary funding amount, where we have percentage of it going to fund our budget every year. Percentage goes for stabilization. In case the revenue are not coming out well, we can rely on that and use that to support the budget. And we did that during the COVID period. We did that in 2014 when we had a challenge with our revenue inflows. And the Heritage Fund, these are the avenues by which that oil money is spent. Now, if you come to the aspect of the GoBoard, are we able to do similar things? Because the GoBoard also looks more like trying to manage our revenue sector. So can we have a law that is going to be dedicated as a separate revenue? Mind you, most of the mainstream from oil, the gold, goes to the consolidated fund. So if you have a separate account and the separate account is meant to hold revenue from the Go board, we can equally look at it from disbursement into other areas. So one, we can say that we want to use component of it for reclamation. We want to use it so that we can reclaim most of the site that they have destroyed. We want to use it to ensure that we are able to train miners and allow them to mine responsibly, etc. So we can allocate component of the money for the Go board for these kind of activities. Then we also said, okay, fine, let's allocate component of the money for developmental needs. Let's allocate component of the money for future needs and all of that, so that we can go ahead to increase our stabilization fund. We can go ahead to increase our heritage fund. Then we can also go ahead to increase our annual budgetary funding amount in that particular direction. So we can appropriately apportion the revenue in such a way that we follow the management style of the oil revenue. And this can be a better way to have a sustainable funding sources and dedicated way of managing the revenue that is coming from that area. Now, we talk about IMF, whether indeed, if you are able to rake in more revenue. Remind you, it's not only the good. Remember that we have discovered other natural resources recently. I think some in the Volta region and some at the Western region as well. So we can lump all of them up and create a particular management fund for it. We should not only be interested in exporting the raw good. Let us try to see that we can add value to it. If we add value to it, we are going to have 3 times or 4 times of it. Because in the end, you are going to have a backward and a forward leakages in terms of job creation. Because when you process the good, all the elements in it, the production process, from the production process to the marketing and everything, you are going to create a lot of jobs out of it. So we should also concentrate in processing the good and refining the good. So Go board must come out with a policy as to how they can process the good and ensure that we now have a refined good and we export. At the end of the day, we are going to rake in more revenue. We are going to create more jobs because it is the sustainable jobs that we are looking out for. That is what we are doing that. If not the sustainable jobs, why would you be spending a lot of time trying to manage that aspect of good?
We'll move to the amount that the CDD is warning. If you wanted to run for president in this country, you'd be needing $200 million. Is it worth it? Can I ever run for president? Doc, can you ever run for president with this amount?
Certainly, if I need $200 million, then it means that people will have to come and sponsor me. What that means is that nobody sponsors anything without a return. Now, political parties were told to submit their account for auditing. So why don't you come up with a law that political parties must declare their source of funding? So if you are a politician and anybody come and give you money, you have to donate it. Even gifts are supposed to be declared and taxes are supposed to be charged on gifts. So if you consider that to be a gift, so why don't we have a law that will enforce political parties to disclose all the amount of money that they finance them? And if they disclose the amount of money they finance them, we know the sources. This person has donated ABCD. This person has donated 20 million Ghana cedi. This person has donated 10 million. This person has donated that. I remember President Mahama, when he was soliciting for funds, he once came up and read names of people who have donated to his account. Why don't we have that? Why don't the political parties publish their official account so that we know that this is what has been donated to them? But the funny aspect of it is that the donation don't go to a dedicated source. The donation goes to different people, so you are not able to track. They go to influential people in the party. So you are not able to track to see that the party has received this. So if, for instance, during the campaign time, let's say John Mahama, people go and give money to the party chairman, people go and give money to the chief of staff. They identify people, they know that this group of people, at the end of the day, they are going to be occupying sensitive positions. And this is where they are going to be having their contracts and other things from. They pass the money through that. They don't pass the money through the party structures. So the party is not able to report appropriately how much has been raised. So this is where the problem is. So if the party has a dedicated source, nobody is receiving the money, and it is going to a dedicated fund, it means that they can account for it. But as it stands right now, it is not. So why don't you make a political party like a company? Because if you list a political party on the stock market and people buy the stocks of the political party, the higher shareholder become the owner of the party. You understand the point? So that we know that, okay, fine, this person is where most of the donation goes to. And that person has an office, all the donation go there, the account is done over there, and it is publicized for the whole country to see. Even the Ghana Stock Exchange will tell you that you have to publish your audited account. And that will compel them by law to do so. But as it stands right now, it's going to be extremely difficult for us to be able to know that the political party has raised A, B, C, D. But after the $200 million, wherever I thought they will go and find it, they will definitely find it. It will come. People will even donate more than that because they know that the benefit that comes with the political power is higher than the cost of it. So why won't we invest? It's a simple economic logic. People will invest to benefit from it.
All right, yeah.
Interesting. But I think one other issue that is of importance to all of us is the election of MMDCs.
Yeah.
That the poll conducted by the Institute of Economic Affairs has reviewed public support for the election of MMDCs with a significant majority calling for a non-partisan electoral system. I mean, this has been on the table for quite some time now. President Akufo-Addo tried to do it, but it didn't go through. Why have we not been able to do it? And what must we do to ensure that we take this from the books to be in practice so we elect for MMDCs?
Well, I think for me,
go on.
Okay, for me, I think the last time I made it clear that I'm not in support of it.
Oh.
But then, if Ghanaians are saying that they want to elect their own MMDs, why not? They can go ahead. But it's going to business as usual. You know, whatever is happening at the district assembly level, it is not an issue of electoral problem. It's not the issue that if they elect people and they hold them accountable, they will perform. That is not the case. If you elect them and they don't have the needed resources, how will they perform? The performance go with resources. So if the resource allocation is not enough for them, they are not able to rake in revenue from their own districts. How can they perform? It is about revenue generation. So I think that we should rather empower them and allow them to be able to generate revenue on their own within their localities. And from that end, they can do their best to perform. But if you tell me that we should elect them, we will elect them like the MPs that we have elected. We continue to complain that MPs are not performing. They are not performing because they don't have the needed resources to be able to perform. The MP Common Fund is very small. And if you elect DCs, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be business as usual. Look at the amount of money we're already talking about, using about 200 million for presidential elections. It means that it's going to be calling for a lot of resources that they themselves will have to use, the country will have to use to elect them. We are already appointing them. We are not seeing them performing well. And we say we should come and elect them again, spend money and elect them, and it is going to be business as usual. If the president appoints an Metropolitan District Assembly, what do you call it, chief executive, and the person is not doing the right thing, the person can be fired.
But Doc, are you not sure that because that election will be performance-based, if you are elected for, say, 4 years and you don't perform as the MMDCE or DC of your area, then you'll be kicked out, and therefore that will be a motivation factor for MMDCs to perform better than they are doing when they are appointed.
The point has to do with the fact that they don't have the needed resources. But I also think, that can be a check. There can be a check and balances on that. And at the end of the day, I think there are also basic things that they can do that do not require resources. But because they are comfortable, they are being appointed, they feel relaxed. On that angle, then electing them will be appropriate. That's the only reason why electing them would be appropriate. But you can still elect them and they will still not do what they are supposed to do. So, but let's try it and see. If you try it and it works, that's fine.
Well, Dr. Sasanti, so Kojo, you recall that this year when the president was at the orientation and workshop for the current cohort of MMDCs and DCs, he indicated that nearly 2026...
So they could be the last appointed MMDCs.
Appointed MMDC. They're considering the election. Of course, Kojo mentioned that the former president attempted it. It didn't work. IEA has done this research. They've done it again, and they're saying that it looks like there's a taste for it. Public want it. President has hinted it. Dr. Jabu thinks that it's going to be business as usual because in my little readings, I realized that people will vote for the party they love anyway. We say that it's bread and butter issue, but people will really vote for the party that they want if you drill it down to the last wire. Dr. Sasanti, which of these methods is the most potent way for democracy? Should we proceed with the election of MMDCs? Is that the true test of decentralization? Or we should just maintain the appointment?
I believe in the election. You see, the beauty about democracy is you are giving people opportunity to change or to elect their leaders from time to time. It is something that if you are putting monetary value on it, you will not get anything. But I tell you, it's worth a salt because people now have opportunity to put into office at the grassroots those they deem fit. That is a big check than you have somebody who is appointed not based on, sometimes not on even competence, just loyalty, a party boy, and is in there. You realize that he's going to pander to the whims and caprices of the president because he's a president rep there. But we want people to say that this is a performing person. He has records to prove that he is worth considering for that post, for which reason we want to put him there. All things, holding all factors constant, that you'll be given enough resources or some reasonable resources to work with and all that. If people are able to select out of the lot those they deem have what it takes to turn things around, it's better than you not electing but waiting for the president to superimpose on you a candidate that you know that is naturally or notoriously incompetent and that, hey, is the president rep. That is what we are talking about against.
Remind me, Doc, before you go to the other factor, remind me, are you for the debate about by-elections where many have said that it's quite costly, time-wasting? The party should just be allowed to appoint somebody if there's a by-election. Are you for that? I recall that we have had some conversation, but please remind me.
I am one of the vociferous critics of that. I am.
Okay.
I don't buy into that.
Okay.
If you listen to those who advance that argument, their main argument is that by-elections, because of the conflict nature and all that, why don't you allow the party of the candidate we have lost to just get somebody in there?
Okay, then I want to advance my question because you since you're not for that.
I'm not for that. Two issues are at play there. The issue of representation is bastardized. That people are represented one way by which we represent people is through election. You are denying them. In addition to that, you are denying them a choice of selecting who they deem fit to represent them. Two is that those people are just running away from the problem of conflict or violence at by-elections, and that they think that once you introduce that, they are not going to do what? Violence. But remember, internal feud, intra-party violence also exists to selecting that candidate through the primaries, can also be violent. And what I also ask them, that look at the national election. When you see violence there, what do? Are you also going to run away from it? They are only running away from dealing with violence and saying that, let us not have election there. But the national election is also sometimes characterized by violence. So the real problem, the enemy to our society today relative to by-elections is what? And general election is what? The violence. We need to nip that in the bud. Once we do that, whether by-election or national elections, we can sleep with our two eyes closed that we are not going to be confronted with anybody. But that aside, the second factor for MMDC election is that you have a system that says that you are electing your leaders at the national level, MPs, and then the president. And remember, all these votes emanate from the constituency. And at the base, the constituency there, you are appointing. Then you must as well also appoint MPs in parliament and appoint the president so that you have what? A uniform system. But as of now, what we have is a disjointed system at the base where all votes, remember every vote, whether from towards electing an MP or the president, come from the constituency. And at the constituency, when you are electing the president, is through election. You are electing MPs through election. But when you are electing people who represent the locality, you are saying that it's nomination. It's a disjoint and it creates all manner of problems, right? And then it undermines also the choices of the people and then efficiency, because we have seen oftentimes that the DCs are not performing. But if you have a leader like Nana Akufo-Addo, who doesn't like to reshuffle, I'm afraid you have to be with a government that will have to be with a DCE or MMDC who is incompetent for you, because it's not the president's style to reshuffle and all that. And that is why people are calling, in addition to other factors, people are saying that let us have the local elections elected. Because, yes, sir.
I think if you look at the study, a lot of people want the election to be done. One thing that really prevented the last attempt to happen was whether it should be on partisan basis or not. Where do you stand?
I believe it should be partisan, because if you look at the assembly elections, even though by law you cannot go there as partisan, but we know them. The political parties fund them and they go there. So that hypocrisy must be removed and allow it, because at the national level it is partisan and it will not change anything. Let it be partisan at the top down, top and down, or partisan. They will go in. Why we fail to do this thing is that advocacy on it and education on it, I think, has been slackened. We have not worked at it to really convince people the need to have such a system. And that is why people drag their feet here and there. But other than that, this has been in the books for a very long time. I know a professor who did his inaugural lecture on that, Professor Jimabwedi, on this, bringing it to the fore, and a lot of think tank scholars have gone to the ground. It's not the issue that people are just promoting it, but that they pick data from people over the years, and they still continue to have prominence given to this issue by interviewees relative to this election. So it is something that we need to step up our game on advocacy, education, to get people to understand it. Let us look at the pros and cons of it, and then throw it out through a referendum, and then we will be home and dry.
Okay, could you maybe we talk about this clash at the Tamale Technical University?
Yeah.
Dr. Jabil, I'm quite curious about what you'll say, because then yesterday, as of the time our reporter was giving us an update, she said that it was a relatively peaceful protest and it was a basic request that their infrastructure in the school was quite deteriorated, and so they sent petition to relevant stakeholders. Now, while they were en route back to school, they started to bend tires and reports of they blocking the route and all of that, so the police had to step in. Now, the leadership of the school said that, well, bending of the tires was part of their protest. That was how much they wanted to show the leadership of the school that they were quite unhappy with the infrastructure in that school. I ask this question because widely the police has come under certain criticism that when it comes to protests and such things, it is always as though it will end in some sort of violence. But if I look on the face of it, what else could have the police done?
Well, it has to do with professionalism. Are the police well trained to be professional in handling situations of this nature? It is very important that the police administration have to wake up in handling some of these problems. In the past, if you look at most of the protests that happened last year, running up the elections, In some cases, they manhandled a lot of people. And it has to do with the way they are being trained to handle crowd. That is very important. So if people are going to protest, they give you the itinerary and the kind of things that they want to do. So as a police professional, you need to protect them and you need to ensure that they follow the right procedure. Unless, of course, sometimes some of them can be highly deviant. So if they are deviant, you need to use other crowd control mechanisms to be able to protect them so that it doesn't go in a bit wayward. So the crowd control mechanism is where they are having the issue. So they need training on crowd control mechanisms. You know, sometimes in the past, they used to use the water, the hot water, and spray it. And that one, they just move away. But if you begin to shoot using live bullets, you begin to shoot using other forms of activities, you end up creating a lot of problems for them, for the crowd. So the police are our friends. So they should not be handling us as if we are their enemies. So the police administration needs to train them. Crowd mechanism control is very important. These are the things that they have to do. If they need a new technology to be able to do so, then the government can come in. The Ministry of Interior is there. They should come in to help them with that technology so that at the end of the day, we don't have any challenge. They can even use drones. Anytime that their AI is very important, they can use drones. Whenever there is a crowd to control, they can use drones, pass the drones on top. Even the drones alone, some people, it will comfort some people. They will be like, oh, let's comport ourselves. Because if we don't comport ourselves, whatever we are going to be having is going to be a challenge. So drones can be used. They can deploy drones to that area anytime there is going to be a protest. And that can help to stop some of these challenges.
Doc, Doc, you're a lecturer at the university, Tamale Technical University. At this point in my colleague's life, they should know that burning tires is not a legal means of protesting. Why always put the police or security agencies at this point? Why do we do this?
Well, if you look at it, the Tamale Enclave, for instance, they are noted for doing that. Anytime that there is a protest or something like that, even not only Tamale and several other places, they tend to burn the tires just to show people their displeasure. And I think that even the burning of the tire alone is not environmentally healthy, because look at the smoke that is coming out of it. They themselves, who are even within that enclave, is not good for them. So I think that they should use other means other than just burning the tires. So if they come and the police will ask them that, are you going to do A, B, C, D? If they say yes, they are going to do that, you tell them that that shouldn't be part of the protest. So they should vehemently oppose that and remove that as part of the protest. If they're able to do so, I think that we can have a peaceful demonstration. Just look at the smoke. It's just unhealthy. But the issue of their infrastructure, I think the education minister has to step in. The right authorities must step in. How much fees are you charging them? Is it that there should be a synergy? Is it that Ghana Education Service is supposed to invest and the school authorities are also supposed to invest? Are the school authorities utilizing their resources very well? In some of these things, you don't need, it is facility user fee. You don't need the government to come and provide it, especially the taxis, the smart boards, etc. It is the university itself that is supposed to use their internally generated funds to be able to do so. If they have to increase their fees by a certain amount of money, they should do so. In the University of Ghana, there is a development levy that we are coming out with to help them finance the construction of ultra-modern accommodation facilities. And yesterday, about some acres of land was handed over to GRASAC and SRC to build the hostels for their people. And it's going to be coming from a development levy. So if the university think that they need to uplift their infrastructure, they should pass on the cost to the students. I don't think the government will prevent that. If you are saying that a better facility to be prioritized, then you should be ready to pay. If they are able to pay that, maybe 200 cities, 500 cities more, I think that money can be used to provide a better facility for them. So hand come, hand go. It should not be just that the government should do everything.
Well, Doc, I was going to stay with you because I am a student, and then the hang is just kicking me. And Dr. Sasanti, please hang in there. We'll come to you. But Kojo, shall we go?
Yeah, let's bring in Martina Bugri, who is our Northern Regional Correspondent. Martina, you've been at the forefront of this development for some time now. What's the situation there as we speak to you this morning?
Well, the situation this morning is calm. Students are expected to begin lectures today. But unfortunately, the meeting that was held yesterday was inconclusive, we are being told. The students said the leadership got to Mariam Hotel where the meeting took place. They said they had written a petition and given the school, and so they expected that the school would respond in writing, but it was supposed to be a verbal discussion, which they turned down the discussion and left. They have given the authorities some days to have everything written and then sent to them. If they are satisfied with what the response, then they move on. But if they are not satisfied, they would have further discussions to reach a conclusion. But one thing the leadership is saying is that while they are open to begin lectures and attend lectures, because they do not want the academic calendar stalled, they are also petitioning some key stakeholders, including IOCO and the Minister for Education, to come in. IOCO because they think that monies collected are being mismanaged, and so they want thorough investigations to begin so that they can have a logical conclusion and ensure that the money they are paying or the fees they are paying, the extra monies being collected, are put to good use, they tell me.
So these monies, are they directly for the provision of infrastructure? Is that what they're saying?
Yes, so for the development lady, we are being told by the students that that is to help bring development, so infrastructure, roads, among others, in the school. And they have been paying these fees for a while now, but they haven't seen any meaningful project out of what they pay. Sanitation, they say they have broken infrastructure in their sanitary halls where you can't feel comfortable. We entered there yesterday. It's nothing to, it's not a place you would want to even want to see as an individual, but that's where they use. And the stench, we are told, affects them. Even sometimes lectures that are held in these hostel facilities, we are told that you can't stand them because of the stench that comes from it. And one other thing they also mentioned was the sanitation and the screening, health screening fee they pay, and then they never have health screening done for them. And so these are some of the things that they think that they take the monies and they don't see what is being used for. Now they are saying that the school is proposing to increase their fee 100% increment, and that is going to be a difficult thing for them because they say that over the years they pay money, they don't get results, and that's why they are fighting and will not relent in the fight until they have their issues addressed.
So this development levy, did they tell you how much they pay?
The guy was not, they didn't have a figure readily.
Okay.
But he says that since once you enter the school, it's part of the levies that you would pay until you go out. Now, one other key issue that also came up was that they finished school, and after 2 years, some are unable to receive their certificates. They get jobs, and then they can't get certificates to present because the school has not been able to offer them their certificates yet. And that is one other issue that they want addressed.
So you want to stay on that a bit. For Martina, for some students, if this is not for about all the students, then this must be some bespoke challenge with these particular students, right?
I didn't get the question.
I'm asking about the certificates receiving, which is quite a concern. This you can confirm that it's not all of the students that complete at a particular time. This is just a few of the students, right?
Yes. So yesterday I spoke to about 3 students, and they tell me that their immediate seniors who had finished up till now, and these are different departments, have not reached their certificate yet. And so it's not one department. I spoke about different departments, 4 different departments, and they all have the same concern that their seniors have finished 2 years ago. They haven't had yet. Someone even said he has to come back to school because he got a job. There wasn't certificate to present, and so he has to come back to school instead of just wasting at home.
Interesting.
Now that was the guy we spoke to. We had to blur the face.
Okay. Okay.
But Martina, what about students who sustain injuries? What's the latest on them?
We are told that they are doing well. I spoke to the Grasser PRO this morning. He says that they are doing well. And hopefully they will give us an update on how they are. But we are sending it this morning to see what.
Okay. All right. Martina, grateful. Keep your eye on what's happening at the Tamale Technical University so we can update our viewers with what's happening. Grateful to you.
Well, Kojo, maybe we'll go to Dr. Sasantin now.
Yeah.
Doctor, pick up from where Dr. Jabril mentioned, and it had my attention, Kojo. It said that that area, that enclave, really, is quite notorious for burning tires, especially during protests. I mean, not just the Tamale enclave, but up north. Whenever there's a misunderstanding, you're likely to see that their tires being burnt to show their displeasure. While this is not this is not legally acceptable, even with the EPA, the laws and all of that, sometimes when a mode of conduct becomes very common in a community, then the police must preempt that this is their modus operandi and they will go that way. So how do you assess the police performance? Dr. Jabril thinks training, but I don't know about you. How do you assess it?
Say that burning of tires is not peculiar to that part of the country. You can find it southern Ghana everywhere. But come back to it. I don't see why when people have genuine concerns, they cannot engage and have dialogue. Talk to school authorities. Look at how the issue goes. If you are not satisfied, trigger another process. Send petition to minister. Something can be done. So I find it a bit difficult when students sometimes don't want to exhaust this. So from the student perspective, I believe that they have genuine case. They've paid money. They want to ensure value for money. They are not getting the best services. They are entitled to that. They have finished their programs. They don't have their certificate. They require that. But the best way out to involve university authorities, talk to them, and then have a dialogue with them. And what comes out, if you are not satisfied, you can trigger another process. That is what I see. And the violence associated with, demonstrations, strikes, and all those things are born out of the fact that socialization has broken down completely, right? People don't teach their words. Schools don't also inculcate in students the need to be civil in demanding your rights, because you can, have placards around. Why are people holding sticks? What is it meant for? I mean, if you have something genuine to discuss, you don't go to the, around with sticks and all that. Now, come back to the school itself. What I see from what they are saying, and let me be fair to the school that we have not also heard from the school. So I am speaking on this with a pinch of salt because we want to also hear them. From the student perspective, transparency is missing here. That they want to see how things pan out. They want to see every payment that they make, the results that it yields. They want to see that. Accountability is in question here. And that authorities, they're accusing them of not being able to account for monies given to them. And of course, you are also seeing lack of inefficiency on the part of authorities. But that is what is coming from the student. We have not heard from the authorities. So I'll not jump into the conclusion and say that authorities are guilty of this. We want to also hear their side of the story. For the police.
Well, Doc, on that, yesterday we spoke to them on the pulse. Just that the debate about the allegations of they not putting the development levy to use, the health screening fees and all of that is maybe something we now have to go back to them to ask, why are they not utilizing those fees?
Did they say those?
I'm saying that we need to go back to them on these specific issues about the usage of the development levy.
To hear their story so that you can have a balanced conversation. So I'm holding certain factors for constant and then also want to move on to another area. The other area that I see is the police. Yes, they will go there and then they are professionals. Sometimes you realize that when programs of this nature degenerate, then you see them coming there with force that are very unreasonable. And that is a function of professionalism that we expect them to demonstrate. And my colleagues said something which is very interesting, that we can also employ drones to deal with it so that you don't harm any police and police doesn't also harm you. But there are, systems that monitor the whole operation. But the whole bit about it is that if the police, there is a need toward strengthening their training relative to what crowd control and all that, we as a society or the police force must be able to identify this and do it so that you put the institution at the highest level of professionalism so that they can respond to things like this without any incident. So I believe, but sometimes the brutalities also becomes something that we don't accept and all that. Like the pictures we are watching now is a bit strange to us and all that. But we also as a society, we owe to ourselves the duty to make sure that when there is something about protest, we go with it in a more civilized and a more civil manner so that we don't create unnecessary problems for ourselves. Burning of ties. I don't see how it addresses the problem of infrastructure. Burning of ties. I don't see how it addresses the problem of stench, sanitation conditions in the school. It is only dialogue. That is the way to go. So let us, inculcate that in people so that they use those channels to be able to address their grievances.
But grateful to you. I think on that, I may probably have to single out the SRC of UCC, not because that's where I attended, but if you go to the University of Cape Coast, there are two big infrastructure there. The UCC SRC hostel, it was built by the students. The UCC broadcasting house, where I worked, where I honed my broadcasting, talent or skills, was built by students. They were levied, and the monies were then converted into this infrastructure. So if the students are paying, then they have to let them see the benefit, because then it even becomes a revenue generating avenue for the student body. So
I can't help but agree with you as well, Dr. Sasanti, and as well, Dr. Jabril. I'm sure this is how we end our news review.
No, but we can't end it. Doc, you have to stay with us. There's an interesting subject I want to pick your thought on. No, Doc, please stay. Yeah, yesterday I saw something, and they were ascribing this to MFA at the T.
Dog,
MFA, did you say I would choose money over heaven?
I mean, listen, Dog, two of you know that every discerning reader would know that you can't compare heaven and money together. Dog, so if you read this about me, it's just some blogger sitting in his living room somewhere, feeling all sinister and writing something silly about me. But truly, you cannot even compare these two. How can you even ask a person that, would you choose money or heaven? Money or heaven?
Oh, heaven, of course.
If I heaven, I'm David's Abati.
Oh, God will provide. Why?
I see that.
I'm thinking.
But I mean, Dog, don't mind anything you read about me. Your girl, my hands are clean. But thank you so much for joining us today on the news review. Dr. Kwame Asante, Head Center for European Studies, and as well, we were joined by Dr. Jabril Mohammed, Economist, UGBC. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon on the show. But you as well, you want to stay with us. There's so much on the show. It watching the AM show and thank you for staying with us. Time now for our big stories. Now, fresh IMANI reports powered by social media reactions reveal public discontent for the performance of the NDC government in the past 6 months, highlighting decline in public trust and controversies over selective justice and governance inconsistencies. We hear from IMANI, but we're joined by Salam Brantier, Vice President IMANI, and I want to understand a bit more about what triggered. But before that, I will be also joined by Adam Senano, co-chair of Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Please stay with me, but let me start with you, Salam. Thank you for joining us this morning. First, what triggered the research, before we even go into the methodology, how you entered into the nuances and all of that, but what triggered this particular research for the polls, as you describe it, the IMANI Pulse?
Or this sentiment analysis activity is something we started last year, basically because we realized that social media has become the really the convergent point, or the point of convergence for people to really air out how they feel about certain things. And for us at IMANI, because governance or citizens' perception of governance is very key or core to some of the things that we like to look out for, we decided to do this IMANI Pulse to measure people's feelings about the government or the opposition, or things that are trending or issues that are trending, and how people view those issues. Because most of the time, the news comes from the newsmakers, whilst we do not also have a forum for which people who react to these things can be measured. So IMANI Pulse was actually done to analyze the sentiment of people on the ground, people who comment or people who willingly comment on social media. And the focus has been mainly on Facebook, Twitter, or X, and TikTok, as well as other news channels where interaction is done, so that people can, we can use that to sort of measure the barometer, or the voice of the people and their reactions to things that have been happening. So that was the basis for doing this IMANI Pulse, and we have done it for about a year now.
Okay.
This current, yeah.
Right. Thank you, Salam. Because you have just introduced the methodology and let's just stay in there a little bit more. Can you explain particularly the methodology? And I'm asking this because you realize that though all of these social media platforms that you've mentioned, they all behave quite differently, you know. And so I want to understand what kind of tool you used for Facebook, X, TikTok, and the other parts that you may have mentioned.
Yeah, so basically what we do is that we pick out certain keywords, and these keywords are then used to determine the responses or the issues that come out. We cannot definitely score the whole of Facebook, or the whole of Twitter, or the whole of TikTok, or YouTube, or podcasts. But what we do is that we take sample views from what we call mentions. So, for example, if a post mentions NDC, or NDC Ghana, or John Dramani Mahama, or President Mahama, then those ones are filtered out. And then out of those ones, not all of them are taken, but samples are taken from those ones. So basically, when those mentions are made on Facebook, on Twitter, or X, or on TikTok, or on YouTube, or on other channels, we take those ones. And then what we do is that we also curate or analyze all the comments that come under those, posts, to determine the tone or the language. So, for example, if there was something that said, especially in connection with this, sentiment analysis, or something that was said like oral is performing, or NDC's oral is performing, then that is becomes highlighted, or that becomes picked up. Then the comments under it. So if somebody says, I do not think oral is doing well, that is a negative sentiment. Or if somebody says that I am not sure about what oral is supposed to achieve, that is negative. But if somebody said oral is doing the work it's supposed to do, then that is positive. So using that kind of language, and then we're using certain AI tools, we are then able to, use the algorithm to determine whether the sentiment is positive or negative. It is still not a completely exact science. So most of those that are unsure are put in a neutral bin, and those ones are not, because of the lack of clarity, and sometimes how some people would have maybe bad grammar or will not be able to speak well, or maybe there's sarcasm involved. Those ones are filtered out, and then the clearly positive and the clearly negative ones are taken, because then those ones show a clear trajectory of feeling, or a clear feeling about how they feel about something. So using that, so you take lots and lots and lots of comments or impressions, and then you filter it down to a few that are very clear. And then those ones then are used to determine the sentiment. So that is how it's done. So it's a filtration process that goes through several steps. Okay. But all those iterations then give us a clearer view of how people feel.
Okay, Kojo, I'll let you go to Uncle Adam Sanano, but quickly before we get there. So the thematic areas, governance, credibility is in question, perceived selective justice, job insecurity, and mass dismissals, polarized social media discourse, strong calls for transparency and reform. I'm concerned about authenticity in the comments that you may have sampled to arrive at some of the percentages. I ask this because we're quite aware of the presence of people who are, no matter what, supporters of political parties, who just go on social media and will just type anything at all. What kind of authenticity tool did you use to measure whether this comment is fair and just?
So beyond just people commenting, it also ranks the kind of people that comment. So so when you have a social media address, for example, there are what we call bots. Yeah. And so bots, or people have what we call bots, which they just use to type a certain language all the time. So those ones are also filtered out, because you would want organic postings or people with organic accounts. And most of these bots do not have any interactions. They have maybe only like 10 friends or 20 friends, or 20 followers, depending on the the platform you're using. So most of those ones are dismissed. And then we look at people who probably have been on Facebook for a while, or on X for a while, and then those who have a certain kind of ranking where they are multiple interactions with different people and all of that. So usually the ones that do these targeted things are usually bot-like, and they have a certain kind of way in which they interact. So those ones are usually not even included in the filtration process at all. Okay. So you look at normally people who have accounts that normally interact with people, and those ones are ranked. They are ranked even in the systems in which they are, or in the social media platforms in which they are. Their types of engagements are limited. So those ones are not part of them.
Okay, Salam, while I recognize that you're the researcher, I'm just curious, in which part of the themes really came as a surprise for you, especially on the score or the percentages? Is it the governance, credibility that's in question? Is it the perceived selective justice? Is it the job insecurity and mass dismissals, polarized social media discourse, or the strong calls for transparency? Which one has your personal attention?
A lot of them, in fact, all of these issues have my attention. But I believe that one of the issues that I believed was spiked a lot was the presidential jet issue, which I thought was a bit surprising, because there were certain instances where it became a big matter somewhere around May. But beyond that, most of the issues that were being talked about, I expected some of these reactions, because the government is thriving on a lot of goodwill, and with a lot of goodwill comes a lot of responsibility. So people are anxious because, first of all, they seem to want to have that goodwill prevail, and they also want to see a lot of action being done, especially with things like oral, especially with things like keeping the fiscal prudence. So, for example, there was a time when outsourcing was a lot in the news, because there was around February, March to April, the dollar was appreciating. I mean, the cedi was appreciating against the dollar. So those things created a lot of good buzz. But then, on the contrary, or on the flip side, the job dismissals were also a big cause of worry because a lot of people were being affected and they thought that they shouldn't be affected. So these things were also very informative for some of us in understanding how people perceived a government that has just come into power from a transition and how people were receiving some of the government policies. But all in all, it looks more like a lot of people are very reactive because they want instant solutions, or they want the government to work very quickly on quite a lot of things. And chief among them has been even the prosecution of people perceived to have been corrupt. People want to see the back of them, or people want to see justice being done. And so a lot of the delays, yesterday, for example, I listened to the Minister of Communication. He was talking about due process. So it looks like a lot of people think that the due process activity was not, or the due process, the will to do due process was not fast enough for them. So these are some of the things that we're getting from the ground. Of course, I mean, the most of the insights were voluminous. We just had to summarize it so that the main topical ones would come out. But then there's a lot of expectations from this government. So it means that they cannot renege, or they cannot slow down or ask for favors, if so to speak.
Right. Salam, stay with us. I would come back to you after Kojo just engaged Edem. When we come to you, my concern will be that because the governments, per the report, seem to have been enjoying really goodwill at the time of the swearing in, that very elegant swearing in that we watched on TV, then quickly up until April, the oral conversation seemed to, the pressure on government, especially on oral, started coming up. I want to know what you think, or per the reports, the government may have missed out between January ending, February and March, so that this oral sentiment would have started in April when I come to you. But Kojo, you want to engage?
Yeah, I mean, on Adam Senano is co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. So let's start with him on oral. I mean, Adam, you had the citizen sentiment on oral. They feel that it's losing credibility because of some actions that they've seen, and thinking that this is a witch hunt. I mean, from where you sit, what do you make of this sentiment by the public, and what actually, from your professional point of view, is happening with oral?
Well, thank you. First of all, let me salute Imani, Solomon crew for their work. And I believe it's some excellent questions, which I'm not sure Salom has adequately discharged, because we don't have clarity on the sampling methodology. Because if you're doing appropriate sampling, then we know that the results are representative. It's difficult at this point to establish whether the methodology allows us to draw substantive conclusions. I'll say at the moment, perhaps this is just indicative, as we'd say in research, rather than conclusive. Again, the issue of the affiliations of the individuals, whether they have political affiliations, and how that was filtered, would then bring interpretation, will influence the interpretation we give to the result. Having said that, it's always useful to look at the patterns. And yes, citizens appear quite concerned about the speed of effecting the oral mandates and commitment. I think that there are a number of issues there. Government should be sensitive to this concern. I believe that once it involves the rights and freedoms of people, you need to proceed carefully. However, it may also be the case that the pool of people who are handling the cases should be expanded. So let's go beyond the Attorney General's department, bring on board the OSP, bring on board potential private sector contractors who can also investigate to kind of speed up these and draw conclusions. There must be some vetting process to identify persons who can assist. Because with the number of cases they have, proceeding may take quite long if they don't have many more hands on board. Now, the issue of witch hunting can only be cured when the results of the investigations are complete and we have the opportunity to review the investigative reports and the conclusions drawn. And I think that if they do a good job of investigations and putting out reports in the public domain, we will all have the opportunity to assess what quality of work was done and whether the conclusions drawn have merit.
But I mean, from where you sit and listening to someone like the General Secretary of the NDC say that some people in government today are trying to cut deals, what does this bring to the oral itself in terms of helping fight corruption? And how the public, how that will inform the reaction of the public to this oral concept?
Well, I think, in my view, the General Secretary's comments were commendable. I think anybody in any space identifying potential spaces of corruption and raising the red flag assists the fight against corruption by making it less likely that persons so inclined will proceed. But when you look at the context, it definitely wouldn't fuel greater public sentiment that can we trust these people? Can we fully trust this group of people? And the persons will be more cautious in having the kind of confidence you may have seen at the beginning of the tenure as reported by IMANI. So, yes, it might have some influence on how people think, but in my view, to fight corruption, we need to be very transparent about it whenever we see it. And we are much better off having General Secretaries telling us the information they have received than getting them silenced because the rest of the party fear that their image will be dented as we speak about these issues.
Okay, but kindly stay with us. Yesterday on Top Story, we took responses from government and we spoke to the Minister of State in charge of Government Communication, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu, on what this survey, how they are receiving it and what this informs their actions. Let's take a listen to him. When we come back, we'll bring in, Adam Senano, Salom Branche, and also Dr. Osai Kopon, who's joining us on this discussion.
Well, let me indicate that as a general principle, we value feedback and do appreciate efforts by civil society and other actors within society to draw attention to what perceptions people hold about government and its activities. I must also indicate that because we value feedback, we also have our own tools that we use to assess public perceptions and how the public receives what we do as a government. There are many of the issues that have been raised that require further probing. For instance, the matter of prostitutions and the general execution of oral. The Attorney General has at least on 4 or 5 different occasions updated the public on the progress of work regarding oral. On the NSB case, for instance, everybody in Ghana knows that that matter is in court, and therefore it is the court that dictates how the case runs. Currently, the judiciary is on a legal vacation, and therefore cases cannot be heard. When they return, that case will resume. There's one other case that is in court regarding the Sky Train. And in all, there are 7 people who are standing trial. Over 80 people have been investigated. Dockets have either been built or are in the process of being built in 20 different cases. And when the judiciary returns from the legal vacation, many more cases will go to court.
All right, so that's Felix Kwakye-Ofosu that they have their own, system of measuring how the Ghanaian sentiment is, but they also accept the feedback. MFA.
Well, we'll bring in Dr. John Osei-Kwapon. Doc, if you have seen this report, do you find it? What's the accuracy level for you? Can you hear me, Doc?
Can you please hear me?
Yes, thank you. How would you measure the accuracy level of this report?
Well, I mean, IMANI has been doing this for some time now, tracking this sentiment using comments that individuals share on various social media handles. So I think the more they've done it, the more they've improved on the methodological approach in capturing these sentiments. Of course, there is a certain element of subjectivity in making sense of these kinds of qualitative information that you gather in public domains. You know, when do you pick it? How do you pick it? From where? But overall, I would vouch for IMANI, knowing the quality of the work that they have done over the years. That this is work that I would vouch that they approached it with care and rigor in terms of their methodological approach.
Well, so for a little over 6 months for a new government, if you look at the findings of this report, what would you say, Uncle Adam? And forgive me, I keep calling Uncle Adam because he's known me since I was a child, and then now I'm unable to say Adam. Forgive me, but he says that he would rather call it as indicators rather than conclusive. But it's just, do you agree? And then what would this mean for the government?
So I agree with that sentiment. What I always say is that whenever you get survey data, whenever you get these kinds of feedback, I always say that if for nothing at all, treat them as what kinds of signals are your citizens sending to you on important matters of governance and policy. I think for me, what surprised me though is 6 months, if you look at the election and the election results and the massive goodwill that greeted the party, then the biggest signal I take from it is one of worry that within 6 to 7 months, there seemed to be that erosion of some of that goodwill. And for the government then, what does that signal to them, and how do they make sense of some of the erosion that the IMANI Pulse is showing, and how do they respond and rectify whatever signals is emanating through this? But it's quite a bit early for me. If I look at past trajectories, it takes a little bit more time for the public to start wavering a little bit for a party that they elected. So if you look at Kufuor's time, Afrobarometer 2002, for example, it took up to 2005 to see some of that erosion of the goodwill that greeted his 2000 election. You see that again in 2017, very stellar ratings for former President Akufo-Addo, but then you start seeing the erosion in 2019. So again, 6 months is a little too early, and that's where I am a little concerned that some of that goodwill has eroded.
Still have you. So again, I'm railing on the goodwill that per the report the government was enjoying early January. Now, I like to think there are some things that you found that didn't make their way to the report. Let me in a bit. Between February and March, specifically because in March was when the Minister for Finance went to Parliament and read to us the budgets and some of the things that they were going to be abolishing taxes, which I mean your report as well also highlights. Are there a few other things, some nuances that you didn't find quite tangible to want to provide in this report that contributed to the quickly decline between April and May?
So I've been trying to think of any major event or what you may call any major fault lines in the government's approach to governance that may have changed perceptions. Because again, if you think back to the budget, the key issues that were touched on in the budget, some of the major policy moves the government made to relieve the financial burden on Ghanaians through the elimination of certain taxes. I believe the president has tried to set the right tone when it comes to governance and all of those things. So I've been trying, since I read the report this morning, I've been trying to look for other kinds of events that may have started sowing some kind of concerns in the minds of Ghanaians. Oral is one that comes to mind. I don't know if maybe it's not, quote unquote, moving fast enough in the minds of Ghanaians, and therefore that is what is sort of creating some of that concerns and some of that angst. I don't know if it's because even though the right policies are being implemented, that individuals are not feeling it immediately, so that is what is creating some of those concerns. But policies and programs also do take time to mature and bear fruit.
Okay.
So the nuances, I think I still have to keep probing further just to make sense of why this shift in public sentiment.
Okay. Salam, do I still have you? Are you still with us? Do I still have Salam? Okay, Salam, if you can hear me, my question to you before I left, we went to the other panelists, would be that between January, February, March, especially in March was when the finance minister went to Parliament and then introduced all these tax reliefs. Then few days, few weeks into April, May, which I see in the report suggesting that some of the factors that have contributed to the quick decline, the goodwill, it looks to me as though that was quite quick. Have you been finding other things that didn't make their way to the reports that contributed to the decline? Okay, I'm not sure if I got Salam on, but maybe could you want to finalize with Adam?
Yeah, I mean, so Adam, if you listen to, the government's response there, we spoke to Felix. What do you pick a sense that government, as you say, that this should be sort of a wake-up call? Do you sense that government is seeing it that, and therefore they will be working on the pointers that this survey by IMANI is pointing out to them?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, sir.
Yeah, so I don't know.
This is Salom, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Salom, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to respond to a few things. Yes, right after there was a very good independence celebration and all of that, which triggered a lot of positive buzz, as well as Ato Forson's statements and then the abolition of the taxes. What happened was that between April and May, you would realize that there were quite a few high-profile arrests and then activities by EOCO. And some of these activities by EOCO then triggered a lot of comments from what I would say pro-NPP people on social media. You would realize that there were events where people went to picket at EOCO, and then there was what we call the Rambo-style arrests, which greatly divided opinion. Around that time, of course, there was a lot of vocal activity by people who probably I would say are sympathetic to the cause of the NPP, and that could have triggered some kind of bias or some kind of amplification. All right, because in all of these things, there are things that also amplify the sentiments, and we should understand that the goodwill itself is there. It is some aspects of the government's credibility that people are questioning. And the issue here is that you have to balance, the content of the report very clearly to be able to distill that. There is a certain threshold of goodwill that hasn't been eroded as much as the sense of the credibility of some of the actions that were taken. So the Rambo-style arrests, and then the fact that a lot of people were also being dismissed, and then new appointments were being made at the same time, caused some kind of amplification of some of those things. Down the line, as we fine-tune some of these things, we are going to come up with some of these parameters. So, for example, an event like Wuntumi's arrest amplified responses on social media by about 4%. By about 4 times the usual number of comments that would have had what do you call it, an NDC or NPP situation. And when those come in, then of course they add to the aggregate of all the responses or all the interactions that are there. So these are all things that are, I would say, are nuances that can also shift some of the things, because not most people, they say, what do you call it, bad news travels faster than good news. So there are instances where people will comment more on something that triggers them more than others that do not. So these are some of the things that we are realizing as we are building this thing up. And of course, this is just the early days, and these are just the early refinements of the model. And as time goes on, the model is going to even be able to capture more important aspects of this, and then we can come up with even more comprehensive reports around how people, some of these things trigger people for them to be able to react more than in other cases where they do not. So sometimes it's business as usual because some promises are being kept, but where the promises are not being kept or there are variances, then you get to see some of these things come up. And then we also have to note that a lot of the people who are commenting on social media these days are between the ages of 18 and 35. And their level of patience or their perception of how things should work are a bit different from 2 decades ago and a decade ago, where news filtered through newspapers and therefore took a little while before people were able to digest them. But today, with the presence of multiple sources of news, multiple sources of data, multiple sources of commentary, even with what we call influencers on social media, with so many of them who are even politically motivated, who have large followings. These things all tend to influence or shape the thinking of people. And these are pages, some of the things we do are also that we monitor some of these pages and also glean the sentiment from them. So in doing that, then you are able to have a clearer idea of what people are thinking on the ground. Because note that whilst we might have our perceptions of governance, what is being interpreted in the eyes of the common person is also a bit different, because they perceive it from a different angle or from a different source of I would say, bias, prejudice, or pre-knowledge than what we see on the ground. And seeing that a lot of the audience is also a demographic that is a bit more different from what some of us are used to, there are the tendencies for these interpretations to be there. And it is very instructive for us, especially those of us in the anti-corruption sector, in the governance sector, and in these sectors, to be able to look at these things and determine to ourselves whether even policy-related communications are being articulated in the right way, or in the way that makes the new young Ghanaian understand the issues very clearly, or the depth of the issues very clearly. So for me, this is one of the takeaways that I see, that whilst we are doing these things, a lot of things get revealed in terms of how people actually perceive these things, or whether are the events being articulated the right way for people to even understand them more. And then we even have to even look at certain other newer dimensions, like the TikTok aspect, which most people do not even understand, but also has had a lot of very, very important, takeaways for me. And understanding that demographic is also very key to the whole, discussion.
Salam, we're grateful to you for joining. Edmson, let me bring you in here and pick your thought on whether you see government picking this as pointers and working on. Yesterday, we were told by Felix that when it comes to even the sacking that happened, the chief of staff has set up a committee, and they are reviewing this appointment and the sacking that came thereafter to see which ones were on merit and which ones, and the ones that are deemed to have been unfairly terminated will be reinstated. Now, do you feel the government is picking this survey as pointers and to work on to say that, okay, some decisions we took were not right and therefore want to correct them?
Yes, the initial feedback from the minister suggests that, first of all, I think he said they appreciate feedback whenever they get it. He also talks about there are tools that they use to, as it were, validate, and then talks about some of the actions. Incidentally, for me, reading the report, the March report of the dismissals struck me because it appeared to me that that demographic might be a category of young people very likely to be on social media. So after you had pursued these mass dismissals, they are home doing nothing, and their feelings and comments will reflect. And of course, we know that that demographic of 18 to 35 is almost 60% of our population. So they can really influence what happens going forward. So it is important that government looks at it, whether they will indeed then, if people have been, unfairly terminated, restore them or not, is something that we will all live to see. But I'm sure for all of us in governance, we would recommend highly to the government to take all reports seriously. I align with Prof on that. Irrespective of whether this is indicative rather than conclusive, it is always important to take these reports seriously, embrace them, mine the data, and take actions that begin to restore confidence. The tipping point on perception, one can never actually tell. So the earlier we ensure that people are working at it, the much more good results we are likely to get as a country. And so that is what they ought to be doing.
All right. Thank you very much, Adamson, and the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Solomon Branche is Vice President of IMANI Africa. Thank you for joining. You also heard Dr. John Osai Kopon there. He is a CDD fellow. And then we brought you that response from government. Felix Ofosu Kwache. This has been the big story. On the AM show, there is much more to come here on the show. Please do stay with us.
Welcome back to the show. It's the AM show. I'm excited because when I have conversations like this, I get to travel into the life of people who are living some nostalgic moments and they're bringing a life back here. And on the show this morning, we have Infantipim Old Boys Association, MOBA 1980 alumni group, and they have their leadership here to tell us about their 50th Greenhorn anniversary. Joining us in studio is Kofi Ankama Asamoah, President and MOBA 1980 year group. Yeah. And then we also have Notedia, head of planning committee, MOBA 1980 year group. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do you like your background?
We do. Love it. It reminds us of school.
It does, huh?
It has changed since we went there, but it's much better.
Okay. It's much better. Yes. That's refreshing to hear. Well, I'll tell you a story about some MOBA boy and what he did to me later, but I will. Tell me, how has the planning been for you so far? Tell me.
It's been pretty hectic. The project it spans events from Accra all the way to Cape Coast, and it's been quite hectic putting everything together. We're doing projects for the school. It takes putting all sorts of equipment and stuff together, which it's been a little tough, but we're at the end of the process.
You're nearly
at
the end of the process.
We don't want to focus on ourselves alone. We want to also focus on society.
Okay.
Give back to the school and then find out what we can do to improve other people's lives. It's been quite a big carousel of things, yes.
Going into this year's anniversary or homecoming, which is the way you like to describe it, what personal expectations are you going, as leadership, what personal expectation are you going into this homecoming with?
Well, we are bringing together our mates. We went in as competition because that's what Common Trans brought you. But when you came in, you were classmates. And then having grown together as professionals and as leaders of community, we are coming back with all the ideas and the strengths and the resources we have to be able to impact society. Like I said, we just don't want to focus on ourselves. Some of us haven't seen each other for years. Yes. So we are coming together. We haven't seen our wives and children. We are coming together. But beyond that, we also want to see what we can do to improve something in the school which we enjoyed. And it's maybe gone into a little bad state.
Okay.
Yes. And then also society, so that they can enjoy and finally, of course, we want to say thank you to God. It's been 50 solid years since we walked in.
Yes, yes. And just to add to that, we're trying to do something a little unique with this project. So this time we've invited other schools to partner us to do some of these projects. So the kickoff event, for a start, involves a few schools, Cape Coast schools, so Wesley Girls, Holy Child, so on and so forth. They've all been invited to come and participate in what we're doing. And it's going to be something, it's totally unique. It hasn't happened this way before.
Okay.
We're trying to bring our alumni together.
You want to walk me through the journey, how it will look like, particularly this year, the 50th Greenhorn anniversary. Walk me through the journey. How does it look like? Okay,
so it's a series of events. We start off with a big party, if you like, on Sunday. That's Nkrumah's birthday. Nkrumah's birthday. That's legacy. That's, you know, it's picked for a good reason. Okay, so we start with Nkrumah's birthday. We have a church service after that at Rich Church. And then we go on to Cape Coast, where we do a few charitable events. And we have a little bit of fun there as well. We have a couple of parties planned over there as well. So it's celebratory, and then hopefully we get to meet other alumni from other schools as well, have fun together.
And we adore the projects that we have done.
Okay.
Like I said, in the school, and then visit the orphanage. Said we could have been like them. But what can we do to improve their lives? So these are things that we...
You've put them in very thematic areas, or you've put them dates. For example, the 21st, which is the Nkrumah's birthday. Apart from the Sunday, apart from the church service, I see that there's an open house barbecue party
that is the 21st.
Somewhere.
That's
as well.
Yes. So the 21st, it's a plus 233 Jazz Bar and Grill.
Everybody's have some taste.
Lovely. Iconic space. Yeah, iconic space. They have everything there. So you normally associate it with evening events, but we are starting early. We're starting from 4:30 p.m. And that's where the barbecue comes in. So we start at 4:30 p.m. and we go right through till the early hours of the morning.
Okay.
I hope you'll be there.
Thank you for the invitation.
In it will be music.
Okay.
But we're trying to recap so come and see what we call Greenhorn's Night is like.
Okay.
When you arrive in the school, for the first week or two, the senior boys give you a lot of material to study, a lot of non-fa, but they're going to test you on it. And when they test you on it, they tell you that some of you came through the back door. What it means is that you didn't qualify, but you are here. We have to sift you. So when they do the exam, then they will enumerate a number of people and say, we are taking you back home. Let me leave the rest for them to come and come and enjoy it.
You know, to give all of it up, right? I see that there is a convergence point where you all will gather before you'd go to Cape Coast.
Yes.
Where is that point?
We're converging at the National Theatre. We're leaving our cars there, getting on board the bus. Those who have even come on the plane from America and UK, in Australia and South Africa will be on the bus. We're driving, having fun with our wives as well, all the way to...
Who are these, your wives?
I am married to Doris and Kamasama.
Yes.
He's married to...
I'm married to Akwoko Dua.
Okay. And
who's a Motowner? But they are invited.
The smirk on his face.
Yeah, all invited. All invited. Motown, whatever, everybody in Accra, Cape Coast, you're all invited to especially the jam on Nkrumah's birthday.
Okay.
Especially the jam. Everybody in Accra is invited.
Okay. So. And now in your school, your alma mater, I see that there's a mentoring section, there's a mentorship section.
Sure. Well, we have come through that kind of a program. When we were there, senior or old boys would come and speak to us. We also want to speak to them. There are different professions that are coming up now. There are different things that they can look up to, and things where they can go through them. And some of them have made it. So we can mentor them, we can walk with them, we can teach them. So we want to spend time with them and tell them the opportunities that there are, and to start right from there. So that is for Friday. No, that's for Saturday. But for Friday, we'll have presented a new 2 classroom renovated blocks, 2 classrooms that have been renovated. Try to bring them up to speed and up to fashion so that they can be used better. So we're putting new windows, new blackboards, new whiteboards, actually, not black, new whiteboards, new seats, and things like that.
Okay, so the donation to the school or the opening of the renovated school structure would be done on Friday. And then on Saturday, I see that you have another charity donation.
Yes.
You're going bearing a lot of gifts. Who are you donating to?
Yes, we're doing to Patio, like I said, it's an orphanage.
Okay.
Yes. One of us, in going to play basketball in Cape Coast, found this place.
Oh.
And he thinks that there are people who you can improve their lives with a little. So we are taking them, yes, some basketballs, but we are also taking them some things for sanitation and hygiene and cleaning so that they can have a better environment.
Okay.
So that's what.
Okay. Mr. Dia, what went into selecting of that particular academic facility to renovate? Why not any other structure, but that particular one?
Okay, it was chosen with the schools. The school has a list of things it needs to do.
Yeah.
And we spoke to them, and it's one of the urgent things that they had to do. And so I think quite a few guys were willing to do whatever they could to support.
Right.
Had quite a heavy, contribution from the guys. And so we're able to do a fairly big, project out of the list.
Okay.
Yes.
And then on Sunday, which I think would be the grand finale for the celebration, or beyond Sunday, there's another thing.
No, it ends Sunday.
It ends on Sunday. Tell me about the
Okay,
Sunday.
so we start with the church service. The school is big now, over 3,000 students. When we were there, we were 1,200 max.
Yeah.
And so now we are not able to fit into one room. So we have selected some students, the prefects and some students, whom we have a church service with.
Oh.
Interestingly, our year group has been enumerated as the biggest men of the cloth.
What is that?
We have the biggest number of ministers.
Oh.
In all of from old boys. So it just pays that we should go back and tell them what we gained to become men of the cloth.
Okay.
And also to preach the gospel and to encourage them. Okay. So one of us will preach, and then we will do what.
Have you selected who's preaching already?
Oh yes, we have.
Okay.
Would you have loved to preach?
No, I would have loved to listen and hear his name first.
Oh, okay. So originally we're going to ask Reverend Kofi Amamanso. He's the only Methodist minister amongst us. Okay. Interestingly, even though we are all from Methodist Church.
Okay.
There are others from the other churches, Presby, Catholic, Presby and other churches. But now we have chosen Charles Asante, Reverend Charles Asante. He's of the Ghana Baptist Convention.
Okay.
He will do the preaching because Kofi can't come. Kofi is being transferred, and so he has to be there for his send-off.
Okay.
It hurts us.
Okay.
He will have been home with the boys. But that service is going to end. Then we go and have a brunch. We are trying to bring back all the foods we ate when we were in school. Dodochi and Gary Foto and what was that? Kaki soup. You know what kaki soup is?
When you said kaki, I straight up looking at
your This week for me and next week is kaki.
Okay.
We wore kaki to school and then we wore kaki to go out. But there was one soup that was very popular in the school, kaki soup. It was made up of flour plus some oil and water. And if we're lucky, we got corned beef
you
in
still
it.
Have the palate to eat it.
We'll find out.
Well,
yeah. So we're trying to eat all the kinky and contemporary and things that we have a special name for, we won't mention here.
Okay.
We're trying to find out, try and have a taste of all that. And one of us who has become a big-time chef is making sure all of these is set on the table for us. So we are actually...
Nearly everything. We're ready and set to be on our way to Cape Coast to celebrate the 50th Greenhorn anniversary. Mr. Dia, you want to just look into the camera and extend an invitation to your members as well?
Yes. Yes. So happy, like I said before, happy to have anybody and everybody from whether it's Accra-based, whether it's Sunyani-based, wherever you're based, please come. We're trying to do something with alumni across the country. So everybody who is interested, it's not just us in Cape Coast. Anybody who's interested, please at least come and let's do the start-off jam. Let's put some networking together and let's keep this going and leave a legacy over time.
Right. Mrs. Samoa, is there a social media? Is there a number? Is there anything, anywhere that people can actually also go visit and get more information about this event?
So we're online. The normal, what do you call it? Facebook, YouTube. We have a Mobile 80 page. what's the page again? It's Mobile 80. It's on Facebook. If
Okay.
you Google it,
I'm sure you can find it.
Yes.
You can never miss
socials.
MOBA.
But you can also hit all the mobile handles.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and they'll be on it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I wish you all the best and enjoy the anniversary. We have just had Mr. Kofi Ankama Asamoah, President, MOBA 1980-year group, and as well Mr. Notidia, Head of Planning Committee, MOBA 1980-year group. You are definitely not born. Well, thank you for watching. We have more on the show.
All right, welcome back to the AM show. Time for us to talk about food and see who they gave it to. Someone who loves food, because I do, I'm proud about it. I've been joined by the founder of Accra Premium, Melissa Mensah, and she's been doing some incredible stuff. The food festival for the past, is it 12 years?
Yes, please.
And you do it on which day?
We always do it around Nkrumah's birthday. So this year it will be the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd. His birthday is the 21st. So, and then we have a holiday on the 22nd, so we're going to celebrate.
So 3 days of food.
Yes, but food and community and family.
Okay. Food, community, and family.
Yes.
Is that a purpose?
Absolutely. I think that we have an obligation to create more real-life experiences that families can enjoy together. When we were younger, we didn't have all of this technology keeping us on our phones away from our loved ones. And the Accra Food Festival is a setting where families can come together and enjoy real life.
Okay.
And that's my goal, is to ensure that families come together and enjoy each other's company, enjoy food, and the community grows.
So how are you going to do it? Because now even around our tables in the homes, we're on our phones. How are we going to take the phones away so we concentrate on family?
The beauty of our event generally is that because of the assortment of activities and the effort that the exhibitors put into creating a real experience, people don't sit on their phones. They actually engage. And then also the setting where we are this year is a very beautiful setting. It's a beautiful park that is preserved unlike any other park that I've seen in Ghana. So just to be in the presence of nature, people will get off their phones. Hopefully they'll take off their shoes and touch grass, hug a tree, eat some food, talk to your friends, meet new friends. That's the vibe. It's not just food, because food is everywhere. It's about community.
And once you're celebrating in Nkrumah, you talk about food.
Yes.
What kind of food are we talking about? Are we talking about local or we're talking about continental?
Okay, so we have both covered, because I know that Ghanaians prefer Ghanaian food over anything. So we have some very top chefs doing a setup that we call the Flavors of the Motherland, where we bring foodstuffs from around the country of Ghana, from the north, from the eastern region, from Volta region, from Accra, and people can experience very well prepared local food. But then we also have chefs from, we have Japanese food coming, we have Indian food coming, Chinese food coming, Lebanese, Surinamese, Brazilian food. Like, we have food from around the world represented, and at a high level. So it's, if you're a food lover, this is a once-a-year experience that you shouldn't miss.
Come there and get any food that you want. Now, I've seen your lineup. It's quite impressive.
Thank you.
Which brands have been on it with you in the past?
You know, we're lucky that we have certain brands that have been with us almost from the beginning over these 12 years. So you have, if you know Noble House Chinese or Heritage Indian, they are a staple. They have a very high standard. I was one of their first customers, I always say. So for the 20 years they've been there, I've been a customer for 20 years. And they've been a partner of ours for most of this 12 years. Bell Aqua is our official water partner. They've been with us for many years. Skin Gourmet, she's not food, but she's natural food, body products. She's been with us. So we have partners that have stuck with us for a long time, and we're grateful. But we also have new partners as well.
How do you choose your partners?
You know, it boils down to a mindset. It's not so much about, people had some perception that Accra Premium was expensive. It's really not about expensive. It's about customer service and about employee relations. And we look at restaurants and businesses that have a history of always respecting their customers, respecting their employees, and giving their customers a very good standard. So that's at the baseline, you have to be giving a real good experience to your employees, to your guests, and your employees also have to be a part of it and respect them as well. And it's just an environment that feeds an Accra premium experience.
Okay. So if I'm an exhibitor, I'm a food company and I want to be part, what do I do?
You would submit your interest. We would take it to the committee and we would look at what you're doing. We would visit your place, maybe anonymously, and we would invite you to participate.
Is that window over?
Oh, yes.
It's over.
For this year, it's over.
So
but it's ongoing.
Okay.
There's an ongoing process that we start a conversation, see what your mindset is about. What would be the reason that you're coming to this event? If you're coming to this event just to sell, that's not really what this is about. This is about introducing your food to a new audience, making new customers, and like I said, enhancing the community experience here in Accra.
Family.
Yeah, family. That's it.
I haven't done this for 12 years. And talking all of the successes you have, what will success look to you at the end of this event?
At the end of the event, if I see lots of each year we have a great photo album. And at the end of this, if I have a great photo album of dads with their kids playing and the kids are smiling and mom is smiling and grandma's there sipping on a juice, that will make me satisfied that families came out and connected with themselves, connected with these brands. And like I said, our experience as a community is enhanced.
If I want to be there with my family, do I have to do anything? Do I have to pay something?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, it's a ticketed event, and we're charging 50 Ghana cedis, and you get a tasting pass. So with that 50 cedis, you can sample from all of our food vendors.
50 for an individual or
for individual.
Okay.
Any individual over 5 and under 65. If you're under 5 or you're over 65, admission is free.
Okay.
Yes, we want you to bring your parents. We want you to bring the little ones and let them enjoy this experience.
Okay, so how much do I have to pay? I have to pay 200 and then bonus one. It's fine. We'll be there. Okay. So was just about wrapping. I will be your last words to our viewers.
Yeah, my last words to your viewers is that if you are a food lover, if you're looking for experiences to get closer to the community and put our phones down and learn new things and taste new things, the Accra Food Festival is where you should be. We'll be eating, dancing, doing artwork together. We'll be doing lots of things that will create a beautiful experience for the attendees.
Next year, I will bring a food from the Hunter people called Foam to your platform.
Please do.
And I'll tag along my Nzima brother, so we'll bring our check as well.
Yes, please. We have to celebrate your other Nzima brother.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll have Foam and Kako. You've not eaten it before. I'll let you eat it next year, yeah?
Okay.
You'll enjoy. When you eat it, it will become your favorite food.
I believe you.
Yeah, and then we'll bring our check as well. So that food is a traditional food for the Hunter people.
Okay.
We call it Foam. I'll bring you one even before next year, so you get to understand how it behaves, yeah?
Thanks so much, Kojo. And also, thank you so much to Joy for having us here and supporting us as vigorously as you have. So I really do hope that you come with the family.
Melissa Mensah is the founder of Accra Premium. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
See you soon.
I'll see you as well, but stay with me. Let's now take you to the Ashanti region. We're talking about, celebrating Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, right? And also in a cultural setting. But let's take you to Ashanti region, specifically to Kumasi, where the week-long final funeral rite of Asantehema enters day 3, embedded in tradition and pageantry. And my colleague Nana Boache Yadom is joining us live with details from there. Boache, what's happening? Take us away to Kumasi.
Well, Kojo, we are live from the Menchia Palace, the forecourt where the burial service of the Asantehema Nana Konadu Yadom is taking place. It's been a week-long activity started on the eve of Sunday, and today happens to be the 3rd day for the burial service of Nana Konadu Yadom the 3rd. Yesterday we had the dignitaries all throng the Menchia Palace, from the judiciary to every other financial institution, coming in to pay their last respect to the Asante Queen Mother, the 16th occupant of the Asante Queen stool. I have with me Mr. Ima. He happens to be the coordinator for the whole funeral arrangement that has been taking place. We would want to ask him about the arrangement and the preparation so far, where we are, before we tell you what is actually going on ground right now. You're live on Joy News. Thank you very much for having us. Today, what seems to be the arrangement for the funeral?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Emmanuel. I'm the Deputy Head of Protocol and also part of the Planning Committee. So as you can see today, we have per our sequence of attendance, we have the reps of the National House of Chiefs, we have the regional houses from the various regions, we have the ministers of state, we have the diplomatic corps, we have the parliamentarians, the MMDCs, the DCs, and then as usual, the general public. So today we are expecting a huge number. You can see right from that place that you can see our brothers from the Volta region, they are in and then they are doing their traditional performances. And then we are expecting a whole lot. People from the north, people I think from the Volta region, the Greater Accra region, and a whole lot of regions, they are all here today to pay homage to His Majesty and also to, to pay homage to His Majesty. So respectfully, I think as you can see, the area is tense already. And then we are trying to do some arrangements. Also, we have the parliamentarians coming, which is led by the parliamentary leadership. We have the Chief Justice and his entourage. The Judicial Service also coming. We have the Ghana Bar Association also coming. We have the MCs and MMDCs, as I already said. So today we are expecting a huge number of people today. And then I think currently, that's what we're experiencing today.
What people are looking out for is what is happening, what is going to happen tomorrow. What is the arrangement for tomorrow, Thursday, which happens to be the very big day?
So as you know, tomorrow is the climax of the Dotiye, right? So tomorrow we are expecting the presidency and then some ministers of state and president and entourage, and then most of the diplomatic corps. We are expecting them tomorrow. We are expecting the clergy tomorrow, because tomorrow it will be a two-way thing. It will be a two-phase kind of program. One program is to file past and then come and pay homage to His Majesty, and the next program will be the burial service, because tomorrow is the last day, and then tomorrow is when finally the Queen Mother will go to the village, right? So tomorrow is the day that everything will be shut down.
And looking at the shutdown, everybody seems tensed about tomorrow. What is the exact time for the restrictions, and what are we expecting? What is movement going to be like tomorrow?
Technically, as you said, it's a shutdown. But, I think people have been talking about this thing, and then it's creating a whole lot of confusion. One way or the other, I don't also want to add up to, what is happening. But the thing is, tomorrow, out of respect, one way or the other, you see, it's a climax of the whole show, and then we expect a whole lot of people to be in town. In as much as people are trooping here to come and experience or to witness what is going on, you should expect that there will be some people out there try to cause mayhem, because they know people are all the traffic is here, and then people will be causing mayhem. So respectfully, I am, in my candid opinion, I will ask that possibly as we did our release, you can go to your workplace, you can do whatever that you are doing, but around 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I think possibly it's better you find your way to the house.
There are going to be stubborn nuts, definitely.
I don't think in the Ashanti Kingdom. I think this thing happened last 8 years. We all witnessed it. And then as obedient as, His Majesty's subjects are, we did not see even one way or the other, quote or unquote, we did not see the mad people even around town. So I think the same thing will be repeated this time. I think the people are obedient, and the subjects really, 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 really respect the king.
And what is the security measure going to put in place so that everybody respects the protocol?
Can you come again?
So the security, how are you going to make sure that everybody goes along with the restrictions and the rules that you have laid down for tomorrow?
So now, my brother, what I would say is that for security, I don't know, but I don't want to put in that the security measures have been put in place to enforce it. No. Tradition is not about enforcing, one way or the other. Trust me, the subjects of the Ashanti Kingdom respect their leadership and respect the king. So as it has been communicated, there's not something, someone will come and then trying to beat you and then trying to enforce this order. It's tradition. And as you pay respect to our Queen Mother, I think out of respect, once you are on this land, I think we need not to come to you to tell you to move out. And, those things are, a thing of the past. But now we think that the respect is too much. that anyone who hears this announcement, or whether, you can go to work, but at least you close at a reasonable time so that you can go to the house early to avoid, you being blocked by this, maybe the security, oh, where are you going, this, you see. So it's not something that we are going to, like bring the police in to, try to catch people. And no. Ashanti is not like that. Okay. They respect the king. And then the king, the revered king, whatever that he says, whatever that the Menchia Palace says, I think the subjects obey.
And so far, how has the funeral been? This is day 3. Last question, how has it been?
My brother, you've been here and you've witnessed it. It has been wow. One way or the other, we've received a whole lot of people, delegation coming from, today we're also witnessing the arrival of the representative from the Swaziland Kingdom. That's a Swatini, now a Swatini. So the Deputy Prime Minister will be representing the king of Eswatini today. So you also see them today. They are part of the delegation today. So in and out, I think it has been good. It has been good. And then with the arrangements, I think you can attest to it that everything is on point. So I think tomorrow, which will be the final day, we should expect nothing less. We should expect much.
Thank you very much for having us. And that is the coordinator, the burial service coordinator here at the Menchia Palace. And he has given us the arrangement for tomorrow. And you can see that he tells us about what is expected on Thursday, which is tomorrow, the big day, which has left the region tense, anticipating that everybody would go silent as we lead the Queen Mother to Bremen, where we are going to have an official burial. He says that everybody roaming around on Thursday should close at a reasonable time. So you close from your work at a reasonable time so that you do not get affected by anything whatsoever. And let's reiterate the individuals that are expected to come to the burial service today. We have reps from the National House of Chiefs and regional houses, ministers of state, diplomatic corps, parliamentarians led by the parliamentary leadership. We have MCEs and DCEs, and then the general public. On Thursday, which is tomorrow, we would have the presidency led by President John Mahama, former presidents and former vice president. We'll have diplomatic corps and also the general public also coming through for the event that is slated for today and tomorrow. Let's also move on to a release that was brought out by the palace yesterday regards to the restrictions. It says that the Menchia Palace wishes to remind the general public that there will be restriction on movement during the day and night of Thursday, September 18, 2025. Schools and markets are to be closed during the day. Banks, pharmaceutical stores, fuel stations, restaurants and transport service providers are exempted from any restriction of movement during the daytime. The following utility and essential service provided are excluded from any restriction of movement, and they include the Electricity Company of Ghana, the Ghana Water Company Limited. We have fire service personnel, we have the ambulance service personnel, and also the Ghana Health Service personnel, who are also exempted from the restriction throughout the day of Thursday. And so that is how the seizure on movement looks like on Thursday. But this is the Menchia Palace, the high table where we have the guests seated on Thursday. Let's look at where the chiefs are also seated. On my far left, we have the chiefs and the general public seated over there. The Asantehene is also seated in the middle, where he receives his guests from across the world who are joining to pay homage to him and also to the late Asantehene Nana Konadu-Yiadom III. We have the traditional authorities from the Volta region who are already here, clad in red and black, showing the signs of homage and sympathy to the Asantehene and the Ashanti kingdom. We have other individuals from various regional House of Chiefs coming in. Also, the National House of Chiefs itself, led by the President of the National House of Chiefs, will be coming. Today, political parties are going to be here. We already know that the New Patriotic Party's leadership have made their way to the Menchia Palace, and also the National Democratic Congress would be coming in. Already, the KMA boss has led the NDC delegation to pay homage to the Asantehene on Monday when the event started. And that has been done. But then today, as officially, they are going to come in their numbers to show respect to the Asante Hima, Nana Konadu Yadom. The NPP will also do same. Other political parties are also going to join in to pay their last respect to the Asante Hima. We also have the Speaker of Parliament expected to lead the parliamentary leadership to pay homage to Nana Konadu Yadom III. The judiciary yesterday, led by the local or the regional heads, paid their respect to Nana Konadu Yadom III. We heard from the coordinator that today we're expecting the Chief Justice himself to also come in. We are expecting more and more, including the Deputy Prime Minister of Eswatini, to also represent the King of Eswatini today at the Menchia Palace. And so it's a broader event that is going to happen today as we lead to the final day, which is tomorrow, Thursday, the 18th of September. We would have the first event, a two-phase event tomorrow. The first phase is the burial service, which is going to take place at the Menchia Palace. And then the second phase is the burial, where we'll be leading the Asante Hima's body to Bremen. Bremen is the royal cemetery where we keep all the bodies of the deceased royals. And so that is where we are going to keep Nana Asante Hima. The procession is going to move from Menchia Palace right through Bantama, and then we walk through the principal streets of Kumasi and then make their way to Bremen. That is how come we have restrictions of movement, because traditionally nobody should have their eyes on the coffin or the body of the Asante Hima. And so everybody is set to be indoors on Thursday. And the coordinator indicated that at 12 noon, midday, the Ashanti region would come to a shutdown. We would not have police enforcement, but for respect, everybody must be inside. And he says that the subject do respect that, because 8 years ago, it was done. Quote and unquote, even mad people respected that. And so he's expecting the same thing to happen on Thursday, which is tomorrow. That is what we are anticipating as we lead Nana Asante Hima's body to Bremen. We can see some chiefs are already trooping into the palace. The streets of Menchia are packed with lots of activities. Culture is being displayed all over the Menchia Palace, from the arrival of the Asante Hine, where we have the climax of ideal royalty, to even subjects and chiefs, paramounts is coming in. We have royalty being displayed in its form. We have several cultural dances, cultural troops all over the streets. It tells you and shows and signifies that indeed something is happening in the Ashanti Kingdom, nothing but the burial service of Nana Asante Hima. We know that this is the burial service. The funeral itself will be held after and Asante Hima is being installed. And so we have to always put clarity on that, because some people think that this is going to be the final event of the whole thing. But no, this is the burial service. The burial service is done to send Nana Asante Hima's body to Bremen. That is going to be done. And when a new Asante Hima has been installed, the arrangement will be put in place for the final funeral rites to take place. And that is going to be after the installment of a new Asante Hima. And so this is what is happening here, Kojo and team. Menchia Palace, this is the Efua Kobe Park, the forecourt of the Menchia Palace itself, where the whole burial service of Nana Konadu Yadom is taking place.
Nana, but do stay with me. When we say Dotiye, what does that mean for those of us who are not, Ashantis and want to understand what that means? Can you help us understand?
So if we say Dotiye, that is what we call the burial service. So as I was explaining earlier, we have two forms of arrangement in the Ashanti Kingdom. There's the burial and then the final funeral rites. Okay. Now the burial service, which is to send Nana Hima to Bremen, which is for her burial itself, the royal cemetery, is what is termed as Dotiye, where she lies in state. The general public, everybody goes to pay homage to her body at her official residence. That is what we term as Dotiye, where you have royalty, everybody seated. That is what is being defined as the Dotiye. And then the final funeral rites, the Eyeno itself, is going to be held after an Asante Hima has been installed going forward.
So what's the literal meaning of the Dotiye? Because you said there's Dotiye which precedes the year itself. So Dotiye literally means what?
That one we would have to bring in the Ashanti poets, but then the definition that we have for the dotty, as they put it, is that, well, it's so much in the form of where we have the Queen Mother or her body lying in state. So lying in state. That is the literal meaning that we've got so far. But then we'll still bring in the Ashanti poets to come and give us clarity on that.
Okay, so we expect that tomorrow shops will be closed down, but transport and other essential services will be running throughout Kumasi.
Exactly. So tomorrow in the morning, we would have these shops, pharmaceutical agencies, transport, banks, restaurants operate. But after 12, you know that you would not have to operate anymore, except that you belong to the Ghana Fire Service, military, security agencies, the Ghana Water Company. Those people are supposed to operate from 12 up until the latter part when the body is sent to Bremen. But restaurants, from morning to 12, you're done.
And after the body reaches Bremen, are they supposed to reopen?
Now, you can't reopen after the next day, because it is believed that the burial service, even leading to Bremen, is going to take the whole midnight, in fact, the whole day. So from 12 up until morning. And so the next morning is when you can start the operation. You definitely know that they are going to send it to Bremen, bury the body, and then come back so you can go and work. But that is not done. Out of respect, the whole night is declared no movement tonight.
Okay, all right. Nana, thank you so much for that wonderful work you've done for us. So that's Nana Boachi Yadon there, bringing you that piece from Kumasi Menchia, where the Dotty. Today is the third day of the Dotty. Now you get to understand what Dotty.
An excellent question you asked.
Dotty means. So the Dotty precedes the year itself. So it's like okay, this is burial, right? And then the funeral itself will come. So like you're trying to explain back door, maybe Dotty, which is burial, means
returning to the earth?
Yeah, maybe. Dotty, right? They say clay, they say Dotty.
Yeah.
So it could be possible. But like he said, the Ashanti poet and historians probably could help us get a full meaning of what Dotty means. But
I am totally in love with the Ashanti culture. Nana Boachi Yadom even puts more elegance.
Oh, yes. Nana is a wonderful guy.
Such a wonderful guy. It makes you understand it and even love it more. I mean, yesterday you should see the pomp and pageantry. You would almost forget that it is a funeral until you take a closer look at the Ashanti, the king himself. If you look at his face very much, you realize that, well, with all the regalness and all of that, I am mourning, I am grieving. Yeah. And you know that if it's similar in other culture, a king or a leader, such position, is not supposed to be showing that they are so much in pain, right? So it's how he must balance being a king, and also showing,
and also being a human being.
Absolutely.
We're just about wrapping up, but let me say a special happy birthday to a friend of mine, Edwin Quay. He's sales manager for New Age Agri Solutions Limited. So Edwin is a fantastic guy. He's a wonderful human being. Everyone in the office loves Edwin Quay. So Edwin Quay, sales manager of New Age Agri Solutions Limited. Charlie, may the good Lord continue blessing you and keep being that human being you are. Keep loving and keep making people smile. But today, show us where the money will be shared as well as the cake so that we can all meet you there and have our share. So, Edwin, a happy birthday to you. To enjoy your wonderful year.
Well, Kojo, we'll definitely have to say bye-bye to you, but we're kind enough to bring you what you may have missed from day 1, day 2, and especially day 2 yesterday. There was so much regalness. We're bringing it back to you at the morning or celebration of the Asante Hima, the passing of the Asante Hima. You definitely want to take a watch. I'm MFA Akosia Adeti.
And I'm Samuel Kojo Brace.
Menchia Palace. This is Jabrim, where I'm currently standing, and this is the burial service of the late Asante Hima Nana Kunedu Yiadom III. Today it is a display of beautiful culture here at the Jabrim grounds at the Menchia Palace, at the forecourt of the palace itself, where hundreds of people, residents, chief, traditional rulers, government officials, some of them have gathered over here, all of them witnessing the burial service of the late Asante Hima Nana Kunedu Yiadom. Behind me is where we have the main podium, and then over there we have where the Asante Hima is going to sit. He is going to sit in state today. The Asante is already walking on the streets of the Menchia area, or the Menchia community. He moved out of his official home and then went to the street. Now officially what has to be done is that on such occasions the Asante is said to be coming out of the forest signifying that he is in grief and he is in a state of mourning. And so while this palace is not a forest, he has to walk through the street to a sort of signal that he is coming out of some way, somehow, a place crowded. And that is why today we have the Asante in him walking through the streets of Menchia. So that is being done alongside hundreds of chiefs who are also joining him over there. But then we have divisional chiefs, some of them who are already seated. We have some paramount seats who are already seated here at Jabrim, waiting for the funeral to officially commence. We have today happens to be the day for the church service to happen officially, and then right after the church service tomorrow is also another day, a long day, and then on Thursday we also continue to do all that they have to do today. And so this is it here at the Menchia Palace. Culture being displayed beautifully, the Ashanti culture being displayed beautifully today. All of us are waiting the Asante Hinim to sit in state, and then we have the burial service begin. We have hundreds of residents in the Ashanti region, diplomats, government officials, political party supporters or political party people, all of them coming in to mourn with the Asante Hinim today. And so this is the first day of the burial service, and this is what we have happening live at the Menchia Palace.
Nana ya mwakwaba eroba Adam TV so acho mejo so ya media menemo pa na sire ko ba hu ntino udi pa udi bere sai nana kwasi asare wona ya hwan me ya Asante ene bosumfo a me kom kosuma jendu ani bugari okay makase kasi beda se nana ya hwe Asante Hima nana kuno de ya no toso me esa okwa akura nana akonfo dwuma de ne pa no ehu enkase de sai Nadia, Mamradi Amania, Kanya Sam Ketwa, our Hakra, put me was a conforno so, Omuachia, Omuya Payem, Yasha, and then you have my conforno. Jumakasia, Yadia, Jumakra Sompao, Jumadimu. He said, Sanakwa Gracia, Santa Maya, I was say a fra home, as Gajada Roma, how many Nava boy, Nabria Kokama, said Yabaya. Susumbia pese tumadie eye baya basa na bibi bese no sa susum ni nyina I was here Pamano Mamoko. Now, Papa Juan and Bass Santemamu. Nasa Monsieur, a bit to a view. Na Yebe Hunubia, Nana, your baby Muno, but you know, Asana, Masako. Yet the Tequam, Yadia more Henny, Yadia so Henny so day. I'm more Henny to find out good too, because I had twice at the Maputus. Another Piemaha, you see the Dona, our and Yasam Ketwa. Way you suit up my mammy posso. Section Centra, Confunchy, and a nay, welcome our Hano. Suit up my mind, Pepasso Section Centra, Confunchy. And I am by who say, I won't come. And Yasam Ketwa. I'll come to you. And then Yasam Ketwa. And now Apaquasam. And now Mamre. And now Mania. Don't want to Chagu. I don't TV. So they are some more. What should I dance here? Where you come from? You suit up my person come for. And a nay. Welcome. And Yasam Ketwa. And Yasam Ketwa bra. It is a tissue to say, I say that here. I shall say the same that here, say that here. It is Yamamia, fair and the number. I will flash here. I am pioneer flash here. I have some good to say, and I come no Kawa, if flash here. I can't know. Is an animal banho. A passer and a chairman, but flash here, I found about the Carino. Now just what you would know.